Looks like we're having some problems getting going here. Wimkin seems... There it is, finally. Looks like we just had a little bit of lag. Going live on Wimkin. Just 1 second, folks. We'll get going here. There we go. Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show, folks. Wimkin is now live. We are making the announcement over on the Don't Unfriend Me page as we speak. Doing that. Leroy, welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Good to have you here, buddy. I always look forward to our Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Hello. It is a good day. Good to see everyone.
We're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff. Talking about the plane crash, break it down for you, what happened. FAA will do an investigation, but we already know what happened. So we'll tell you what happened. And everyone, how do you know what happened? Well, because we do our homework, folks, and it's not our first rodeo. I'm going to talk about fascism. What does it really mean? Because, man, is it thrown around like a frickin' like a glass of water. Easy to obtain, easy going down, and has no substance whatsoever. That's essentially what we're talking about. We're going to go over the left melting down on CNN and a fantastic exchange between Stephen Miller. Talk about Kristi Noem's commercial. And how do you feel about that, America? Ukraine, trying to blackmail us into the war even more than they already are. We'll talk about that as well. We got a whole bunch of stuff for you, folks. Can't wait to see you. Remember, you can donate to the Don't Unfriend Me show / the Dumb Show / donate, but we'll go into more of that in just a second. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. All these people that are saying you shared your stream and liked your stream, these people are all helping grow the show. We'll be back in 3 minutes.
Matthew, it's Judge Janine, and I wanted to congratulate you on the
Hey, Hog Twins here. Check out our friend Matthew Spirit at his podcast at The Dumb Show and his website, don'tunfriendme.com. Yeah.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Very excited to have you here with us tonight. Don't Unfriend Me Show is known as the Dumb Show. And yes, we're very, very aware of what that spells, but dumb is with a B. And there is a reason and method to it is the Don't Unfriend Me's, and they are coined the dummies. And everyone's like, oh, you call your people dummies. I actually had a possible radio station pickup with iHeartRadio and a local radio station out here with Odyssey. And they called, and the producer called me and said, hey, we're just wondering, we watch your show. We think you do a great job. I'm very excited to get you possibly on radio. Do you call your people dummies still? And I said, yes, I do. And they said, well, are you planning on changing that? And I said, no, I'm not. And why not? And I said, well, it's kind of a price of admission type thing for people to be able to have a little thicker skin, but also realize that we're not calling them dummies. It's the don't unfriend me's, number one. And number two, we've been called far worse, and that was the whole point. And nobody thinks that Barstool Sports Stoolies are stool pigeons, or that there's some inanimate three-legged object. They understand that it's a nickname. So the dummies are something that we've had. And people are like, well, if you have to explain it, it doesn't make any... Okay. In today's day and age, you got to explain it. You got to explain everything. You got to explain everything. So
I know.
It's
People
like...
are losing their minds out there, I swear.
Oh, God. I mean, cats and dogs, mass hysteria. So anyway... now that we understand what the Don't Unfriend Me Show is not, it's not an insult to you. It covers politics, real life events, geopolitical events, military, pretty much everything. There's not much we don't talk about. Couple things you need to know. We have a great store, thedumbshow.com. And when I say it's a great store, it's 5-star rated, diamond rated. It's one of the highest rated stores on the internet. Now, I understand there's places out there with 20,000, reviews, but we've got 200 and something, and we have almost 6,000 sales now. But we have amazing coffee, military owned and operated. It is actually roasted the day you order it. It comes as fresh as it is. You open it up, and I'm telling you, aromatic like nothing else. Your entire kitchen will smell like coffee before you brew it, I promise. And it's going to last longer. Plus, we don't raise our prices. Our price has been the same way for 4 years, and it's not going to change. And you go to the Don't Unfriend Me Show and have 6 options. We also have shirts, one I'm wearing here, the one that Leroy's wearing. Great gear for you, and it goes to a good place. It goes to my pocket. So welcome to capitalism. Last but not least, we do a donation here because Facebook removed our funding. So we are, what's nice is it allows us to stay independent. We don't have anyone telling us what to say like Russia. Sorry to throw other podcasts under the bus. But we get to say whatever we want, and we don't care because you pay for the show. So there you go. So give it a listen. If we have I'm going to put this out here tonight. If we have a really good donation night, and I mean, it's got to be a good donation night. It's $300 right now. I'm going to play the extra hour of overtime. Now, Leroy and I are going to crush the show and do what we always do, but I will stay from 9 to 10 and play the Sean Hannity, Elon Musk interview if you guys have a killer donation night. So you decide what that looks like. Leroy will remind you every 30, 40 minutes to keep that going. But if we can have a killer donation night, I'll stay for next hour. Leroy doesn't need to. If he wants to, he can. But we're just going to watch that together and comment on it. So Leroy, interesting stuff. First topic tonight in the A block. And by the way, folks, this is the A block, lower left-hand corner. You'll see A, B, C, D, E, F, G blocks. And the reason why is those are 20-minute segments. We try to stay to a timer. But A block tonight is the F word, fascism. And Leroy and I haven't prepared anything, but we've talked about it a lot on this show.
Sure.
Why is fascism, like, do we actually know what fascism means? And I think that's important to know what it means first, right?
Well, and so when we start talking about fascism, a lot of people just tend to use it as this random insult. And they'll just say that so-and-so is a fascist, or that, and it's really meant to garnish an emotional response. But when you actually start talking about the philosophy of fascism, right? I think most people would be shocked to find out it's more of a left-leaning ideology.
Correct. And I think that's probably one of the biggest shockers for people. And the reason, even though they call it a far right, what people don't understand is that just because the Nazis were labeled fascists doesn't mean they pretty much speak for all authoritarian and totalitarian dictators.
Right.
Because if you want to actually add it up, most of those weren't far right. In fact, Mussolini wasn't even far right. What it comes down to is you have to look at all totalitarian leaders, and whether you focus on the Vietnamese or you focus on Indochina, you focus on Marxist-Leninism, you look at Che Guevara, you look at Castro, you look at Gaddafi, you can look at the Maoists. And if you go throughout history, most of them, surprisingly enough, are progressive leftists. And there is very little difference in between fascism and when it comes to a dictatorship or totalitarianism. And it's what people don't understand is that no Republican or Democrat in the definition, the literal definition, are fascists. Because
Correct.
It's antithetical to the system of government that we have. We have checks and balances. We have elected representatives. We don't have unchecked power. We have term limits on everything. It's called voting. And we don't have those things. So let's listen to the word fascism. Fascism is a far-right authoritarian political ideology characterized by strong centralized power, nationalism, suppression of opposition, and strict social and economic control. It often includes militarism, dictatorial leadership, and the subordination of individual freedoms to the state. Fascist regimes historically use propaganda, censorship, and violence to maintain control and enforce conformity. Welcome to the definition. The biggest misnomer in there is far right. Because if you take out far right, that's totalitarianism. That's a dictator. That is a lack of some sort of system, whether it be feudal or theology or a democracy, republic, whatever it would be. That is fascism. And the only reason far right is in there is because it's been changed because of the Nazis, to be specifically assigned to the far right. Now, we can have this argument about the Nazis and demonstrate that they actually had more progressive beliefs than the Republicans would allow, but that doesn't mean they're Democrats either. Leroy, go ahead.
Well, okay. I am one of those giant nerdy type that doesn't really, I don't do well at parties, folks. And I have read both the Anatomy of Fascism and the Manifesto of Communism, and I've compared all of these documents because they're not that long. The Communist Manifesto is only like, I think it's like 20 or so pages long.
It's very,
not that
very
long.
short. Very short.
And the doctrine of fascism is also similarly short. What a lot of people don't realize is that the guy that invented fascism, literally known as the father of fascism, was actually a studied Marxist. He wrote a book about it way back when, and it's in Italian, so nobody can understand it. But he
what was his name?
Giovanni Gentile.
Also,
he writes this.
Real quick, Cowpoke Ranch donated $2 through Super Chat. Says the Nazi labor wheel is in the Doge emblem. Go look. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Go ahead,
okay.
Dude.
Okay. So
thanks for the
fast
super chat.
forward a couple of years, right? We end up with Germany, and most people associate immediately, and rightfully so, fascism with Hitler. But Hitler didn't stand up the party in Germany. That was done by a fellow named Anton Drexler. And Anton Drexler has been quoted numerous times. He was raised as a socialist. He believed in socialism, and he was quoted as saying, "Hey, I don't want everyone to know about my socialism background." Like, he tried his best to take it in a different way, to not be seen as that. But his philosophy never changed. Fast forward another couple of years. Even Adolf Hitler, when he was running for office, said that he was a socialist, but not the kind that your friend at, I forget the name of the city, but it was a name
Yeah.
of a city that he references. So all of this reference material in fascism, even in the founding document, are all based on socialism. Is socialism a leftist ideal or a rightist ideal? You tell me. I'm all ears.
So if you take a look at the Nazis' policies, whether it be Medicare for all, whether senior retirement and Social Security, whether it be paid time off, you understand that a lot of these ideals are designed to pretend that the Nazi Socialist Party is somehow far right, because that's not the literal definition. The one I gave you is what you're going to find on Google. It's what you're going to find in AI and everything else, because the far right's been added. But here's the literal definition: a populist political philosophy, movement, or regime such that of fascism that exalts nation and often race above the individual and is associated with a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader that is characterized by severe economic and social regimentation and forcible suppression of opposition. So when you listen to that, fascism can be what people would consider a far right Nazi force and element and thumb against the tyranny of the people. But it can also, thank you, Bobby Richardson, appreciate
Thank you, Bobby.
it. The only show I watch and donate to.
Love you guys. Oh, we
Appreciate
love you
it.
too, Bobby.
Thanks, Bobby. So, but if you look and you ask Maoists, or you ask people in Cuba, or you ask Vietnam, or any of the failed experiments that are socialist communism, which has been tried about 26 times on a grander scale and failed every single time. So is democracy, mind you, because it's not the system of government that defines the actions. It's the people. And it's the people who lead that government, and how the people are empowered, the citizens, the constituents, to hold those people accountable. And if there isn't a processes that's respected, then ultimately it's fanfare. Just like China. China has a constitution. Full, clear, decisive constitution.
They're a republic.
Yeah, and you can wipe your ass with it, because that's essentially what you can do with it. So when somebody comes in and says, hey, the Doge symbol is literally the Nazi party, that's not true at all. And I know there's plenty of symbols that are out there for Doge, and I know a lot of them are made up. But if this is the symbol of Nazism, it looks like the symbol of capitalism to me, because this is the official website of Doge, the only official website of Doge, and nowhere in any way, shape, or form do I see a symbol that resembles.
Oh, but Matt, if you move the bar and turn the S into a Z, and if you turn it upside down and look at it left on Tuesdays, maybe, right? Come on, give me some credit here.
It's funny. I saw a couple of other ones, a NATO symbol that if you superimpose it side by side and cut it in half, and then you have it cross over each other, that it makes the Jewish Star of David. People, you guys have way too much fucking time on your hands. You just have too much time on your hands. And Cowpoke Ranch, I'm not saying you are, but I'm just saying that there's people out there that have way too much time on their hands. The Nazi symbol alone, I mean, if you want to see this giant, this is a Hindu and a Buddhist symbol. It's a symbol that means joy and peace. And Hitler did very similar things to that symbol that liberals are doing in reverse to the word fascism. You see, when you call someone a fascist, it does two things. One is it stops the conversation, which is a form of censorship, because there's no way to go past that. There's no way to continue that conversation in a beneficial way for either party. So it's like when someone says you're a racist, it just shuts down the conversation. So in a word, it's what fascism represents by maligning people with some sort of inherent evil that is stopping progress. So when you call someone a fascist in the eyes of liberals, you're ending the conversation, number one. Number two is you're diluting the potency of the word.
Yeah, that's a big one for me. I really dislike that aspect of that's like literally walking around and calling all males rapists or whatever the case. How can that you're diluting it to the point where then the original fascists, the original people in Germany who killed 12 million Jews, it somehow
5 million Jews and 6 million others.
It somehow makes.
Sorry, I'm gonna do it right.
No, I'm glad you corrected it. It somehow makes it less of a crime, and I really dislike that. I would rather if you just want to end the argument by name calling, that's fine. But at least own up to that. Don't try and sidetrack it, and if you can, try not to use that word of any of them, only because we're trying to preserve the particular slime that word is. And something else, I always dig through my notes as we're going through the show, and I found that one quote. In 1932, it was Hitler who said, "Socialism is the science of dealing with the commonweal. Communism is not socialism. Marxism is not socialism. The Marxians have stolen the term and confused its meaning." And you're like, this man is a lunatic.
That's right.
And so even in some of the other quotes that I've dug up, I mean, they all sound just as lunatic-ish. So
it's interesting when people say, and I'm taking this guy, you donated $2. You're going to get $2 worth of my time for sure. And I'm pretty cheap, so it might take a lot. You're like, wow, that's cheap dollars.
yeah,
for
strap in.
how
This
much
could
time?
be good.
Yeah. And when you look at this, sorry, I've got folks. I always have multiple things going on. I got people texting me and shit. So when you look at this logo of gears is surprisingly enough, and don't get mad at me. And you say it's the Nazi labor wheel, has more to do with socialism and communism than anything. It's actually fairly consistent with unions and controlled government distribution, which is socialism. The cogs in a wheel. But if this is true, there's other companies, Mitsubishi, Detroit Diesel, also use the cog. Tech engineering firms use this. Gears of War video game. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I've got the statue outside from my pre-order on the game. Surprisingly enough, if you look at this, a lot of School of Mines in college use the gear. And STEM education, its main page has this wheel. Government, military, I can't tell you how many units I've seen it in. I've seen this on insignias rates in the Navy with a wrench. I can't remember what rate it is. It might be is it mechanics? It's a machinist mate. Is it 2 wrenches across?
I think that's right.
Yeah, but most of their machinist mates, most of their logos or division, their unit logos have cog and wheel in it. So I saw the Doge logo have this gear when it was like just in its infancy. And what the funny thing is I was doing graphic design for a company called Mechanics with an X. And they're a local company here in Virginia. And I use this. And I certainly didn't use the swastika.
Yeah.
But I certainly use the cog and wheel. But the point is that if this associates itself, if you ask anybody to look at this design, they will tell you the only thing it's missing is a hammer and sickle. because
Yeah.
the cog is associated with a socialist movement more than and that's because it is, if you look at Nazi, part of it is socialist. So that's the design of it, the National Socialist Party. So when people are like, well, there's socialism and that are not different. Really?
They are the exact same.
Exactly. And maybe, and if you look at this and you say, well, China isn't all about populism and they're not all about, nationalism. Go speak against China and see what happens.
Right. You'll
Go
get squashed.
say something. Yeah,
You'll end up having to stand in front of a tank. Well, you'll probably get squashed there.
Right. So let's not pretend. The point of this isn't about a logo, and I understand people's frustrations, but people will want to see whatever they want to see. And thank you so much, Kev. When you look at stuff, all sorts of things can come out. The interesting thing, BLM and the fist, that's actually has communist background of the Red Faction, which is the etymology of that was founded in imperialism and was founded in the Bolshevik Revolution. And it's used by black people. Folks, symbols are everywhere, right? Here's another thing, is we use the eagle. Well, Nazis used the eagle and the falcon more than any other military outside of the United States. I mean, it's our national emblem, for God's sake. The Nazis used it religiously. So if you have that, you're a Nazi. I've got a skull here, and I've got a skull here. So if you look at the SS and you look at the Panzer divisions, they all had skulls on the top of their epaulets and also on their covers. So therefore, I'm now a Nazi. So can we please, if you want to tie lines of delineation and sinew to things, it's very, very simple. When you're a hammer, everything you see is a nail. Go ahead, Leroy.
Exactly. I was thinking about this just as you were talking about the number of groups. I have not done a study on this, and I would like to. But I would like to examine the sheer number of political groups that exist within the United States. And I mean political groups. And I would venture to say that the bigger those groups get, and the more of them there are, the further and further they lean left. Okay? And this holds true with fascism, holds true with communism. It holds true with a lot of those isms, with the exception of capitalism, right? And more so because that's a fiscal engine. It's not a political movement. Now, I say that because when you put all of these groups together, right, this is what the left has been fighting for a long time. They had overtaken the LGBTQ movement, added more groups to it because they're trying to gain more of an umbrella within the term itself. And every time they do that, the group itself moves a little bit further left, right? More socialist programs, more government programs, more oversight that's needed, right? With each and every step to the left, and each and every one of these groups that gets a little bit more inflated, they lean a little bit further left. And I know that because the whole thing can be distilled down to a very brilliant young lady who wrote, what's the name of the book? Atlas Shrugged. Ayn Rand.
Great book.
Ayn Rand. Yep. Who said, and this was her quote, "The smallest minority on earth is the individual." And I would venture to say that most of the people who do lean right understand the idea of individualism. And ultimately, I would argue that our Bill of Rights, our founding fathers, and our Constitution, that all three of these documents were built to protect the individual. So our Constitution and our Bill of Rights itself is literally an anti-fascist and an anti-communist and an anti-socialist document. Boom. Roll tape.
Doug
Roll
says
tape.
J- Jewish subversive book. What?
Jewish subversive book. I don't know.
I think he's talking about Ayn Rand. Atlas Shrugged.
Oh.
I don't know why. Why is it that the lowest common denominator in most people's heads is to default to Jews?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the most hated group of people ever,
Certainly the most victimized. Yeah.
who really didn't. No, they're the most hated. Give me a break. Muslims have are the highest propensity in group. Yeah, I know, but not victimized. Sure, they're victimized, but Christians have been victimized proportionately to what the Jews have as well. I mean, Christians have been.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. So when you say
No.
victimize, yes, but not as. There's plenty of other groups who have been victimized. What I mean is hated. Christians are disliked. Doug, what do you mean? I mean, yep is an answer, I guess, but a monosyllabic answer for a multiplicative question is not what's needed here. What do you mean?
Yeah.
And here's the thing: is that I've imagined getting kicked out of 109 bars and blaming the bars. That's funny. But do you also equate that? So do you also equate that to Christians? Because Christians have been castigated out of society. Do you think that there's something that you want to associate Christians as you would to Jews? And when you stand in opposition to certain beliefs that are heathenistic, you will be subjugated to persecution. It happened to Christians. Hell, it happens to Mormons. That's not a particular brand of vodka that anyone likes, and certainly being thrown in pits with lions or not being buried up to their neck. But they are. It is a pretty fair and common saying that I guess Mormons are one of the only open forms of discrimination left, where you can say and do just about whatever you want. Jehovah's Witness also. Not that I support these people. What I'm trying to say is that there's persecution of all major religions. And for you to castigate it upon Jews is, well, they've been kicked out of 109 bars. Well, that's what happens when you've been on the planet Earth and telling the story of God and Judaism.
Thank you, says,
Joanne.
I'll start.
Yes, she did. Thank you, Joanne. That there will be aspersions. There will be an attempt to gain power and control and subvert your ability to present that word. I think it's hard for me for Christians who espouse that the Jews are vermin and rats and very similar to the Third Reich, but Jesus himself was a Jew. It's interesting. That always baffles me, at how you guys forget what Jesus said about the Jews as the chosen people. I think your jealousy gets the best of y'all. And this is usual with most of the groypers who come in here who hate Jews, is you can't tell me why you hate Jews. You can tell me things that have happened.
Right.
That you espouse as a certain way, but when you go through history and look it up, agree to disagree. Well, that's a cop-out. See, that's like you walking into the bar and taking a shit on the bar and then going, you know what, we're just going to agree to disagree. So thanks for the win, buddy. I only had to visit one bar to prove you wrong. So,
well,
hasta la fucking vista.
The bigger question needs to be, why do you need to pick apart any of the religions that are, like, why bother? What is your
thanks for the
major
$10, Cowpoke.
Thank you, Cowpoke. Right. I mean, and I don't just mean that to extend to just Jewish or Christian, or like, why do you wish to come down on any of the religious groups?
I don't even know if he is. I don't even know if he is, but he's espousing talking points that usually come from the Stu Peters and the Nick Fuentes of the world. And no, I saying alone, you get kicked out of 109 bars. Imagine blaming the bar. A total Nick Fuentes, Stu Peters, Jake Shields type clapback that I've seen 1,000 times, and that's how I know how to ban it. Here's his comment. I would consider myself FDR left wing. So I get so you just believe that you throw the Republican democracy out the window. FDR, a life-term president, had to die in office to finally get kicked out. So I get confused when people say Nazis were left-wing. They were all about privatization behind the scene and only used collective rhetoric for hatred. Privatization behind the scene by having government-run healthcare, by endorsing and supporting paid family leave, to have a form of Social Security and elderly care, to have the state-run distribution. What was the number one car in Germany, I wonder? What was the only car in Germany? Hold on. What was the only car in Germany that was sold to Germans? Well, and Mercedes-Benz. Yeah. So the elitists got the Benz, and fucking Grooven was ancillary. So I don't know about privatization being what the Nazis were about. Go ahead, Larry.
Well, I can explain part of that. So not full-on privatization the way most people think of it, not like capitalization. I think what he means is when he's talking about the manufacturing process or factories in general, where as individuals may own private property in small businesses, but it was the state that stepped in and told those factories, this is what you're going to make, this is when you're going to make it, and this is how much you're going to sell it for. So if you're talking about that level of privatization, does that sound about right? And every time I think of that, the one example that always floats back into my noodle is that iconic scene from Schindler's List, where the three army colonels walk into the hinge making factory, and when the guy isn't able to put out the correct number of hinges and within 30 seconds, they're ready to walk him out back and shoot him. Is that more or less what is that the level of government intervention that you want to see in our factories? Let me know.
The thing about Volkswagen was like 37, 36, conceptualized 36, launched 37, and it was named the People's Car, I believe was the name of it was. Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, they replaced independent labor unions. So they replaced independent labor unions with government-controlled distribution. That is the Correct. Definition of socialism. So when you have government control of distribution, that is socialism in every shape of the world. When you have forced government control and no independent entity that can contradict that, that's communism. Elon Musk's Tesla is subsidized by the government. So is solar power. So is energy. So is the fucking pharmaceutical company. So is farms. So is water. There's not much that isn't, that the EPA oversights, that isn't.
Well, that's part of the problem.
Government. Yeah, subsidized. And a subsidy is a subset. I mean, that's the etymology of the word. You're actually saying a portion. So it's not 100% government subsidized. And if it were, then it still isn't government controlled because it still goes up against the free market. If the government buys up all those companies in competitive nature and shuts them down and absolves them into one entity known as Tesla, well, then you got communist socialism. So subsidized is a partial or a portion. It's not the same thing.
Right.
No, it's not socialism. What the government, no, it's not at all. Go ahead, buddy.
It is what the government does to put its thumb on the scale so that they can choose who the winners are within their manufacturing society. That's exactly what subsidies do. And something else that was mentioned in there. Oh, so it's all socialism to a degree. Yeah. I mean, think about the idea of healthcare, right? Let's use healthcare as a great example here. What do the Democrats really push for, especially the far left-leaning Democrats? They're They're wanting everyone to move to a socialized healthcare system where the government runs it all. All right, well, fine. Now compare that to fascism. What is it that Germany wished to do? They wanted accessible and free to everyone that met requirements, including race, nationality, and citizenship. Same thing, right? So is it all socialism?
No, it's not social. It's not. First of all, it's not socialism. A social project and socialism are not the same thing. The fire department is not socialism. The
That's
U.S.
different.
military is not socialist. Well, that's what he's saying. Government involvement, where they're using non-voluntary taxes, that's probably the only part that is not true capitalism, because we force our people with a tax. So taxes aren't voluntary. But the government reinvesting in business is, honestly, I hate to say it, it is the government's role and position. Their job is to provide the safety and security to this country. That includes not just our borders and our military, but to ensure free market capitalism survives. And during COVID, people didn't like the car bailouts and the airline bailouts. Well, what would happen if we didn't bail out those airlines when we stopped flights, literally, and cut them by 75% for 2 years? What are we going to do? Walk? So
Right.
it's not in the best interest when you have a government organization like the FAA to allow that to go. Now, do I agree with it? Should you bail out these? No, these airlines made a crap ton of money and should have been able to go ahead and short the windfall, but that's not what happened. So I'm not a bailout guy, but what I'm saying is that's not socialism. They're not controlling the distribution of flights. You don't have to go and apply for a plane ticket through the government and write them a check with papers like you would if you wanted to get on a blimp, say, and go ahead and die in a fireball mass leaving Nazi Germany. Or if you want to go ahead and get across an island in a pond, if you're in the Dominican Republic, that you have to apply with the government in order for transportation. It's not the same thing. And okay, I completely disagree with you. The government chooses winners, then there is no free market. That's what Leroy said. I don't agree with you. I don't agree that the government chooses winners. I believe that, and this is where I will side with you on this, is that major corporations that reach a certain echelon have more influence than all of the small businesses that make up 97% of what our economy is based on. And the reason why is because they have access to one thing, which is money. And that gives them access. And that is, and completely is lived upon, a conservative principle called Citizens United, which as a conservative, I completely needs to be abolished. Leroy and I have had this conversation, and we don't agree, but I don't believe money is speech. And I don't believe corporations should be treated as an individual, that a corporation has the right for speech, protected speech, and by doing so can donate billions of dollars if they wish to campaign contributions. Keith Baker says, getting it started. Thank you, Keith. I don't think that Citizens United, and the whole reason Citizens United started was conservatives, in order to keep up with the liberal game from the 1990s to 2010, saw an incredible amount of fundraising. They were beating Republicans 3-1. So what they allowed is that the oil companies, the NRA, and the big lobbies could come in and donate to these campaigns and put them on equal footing to what the Democrats are making. Well, now legacy media is no longer commercial, and radio isn't it. It's all about internet, and that shit's free. So what the Republicans should do is remove Citizens United, because the Democrats are the one that are taking money from big oligarchs and big tech companies. You want to hurt the Democrats? Strike down Citizens United now. And that is going to kill Democrats' fundraising.
Now, because just because you strike down Citizens United doesn't mean that those contributions can't continue to flow. You know what I mean? I would like to know, like, what the mechanism, like how that all works, the bubble chart. I would need to know all of that.
Well, it's simple. Is that there is no limit to the amount of money and campaign contributions that can be put into a PAC. As long as those contributions are equivalent to the amount of people you have in your company, you can go ahead and say that if you have 100,000 employees, or if you have so many users, or if you have so many this, you can donate indiscriminately to national campaigns through PACs. And this is what has destroyed our government. Now, Doug, I'm going to give you one last thing. I'm not a national socialist, okay? Well, you said you were left of FDR. What's the difference? But neither here nor there. Do you know why FDR had policies? Because the conservatives had been doing it for 25 years before FDR and abandoned them knowing that they didn't work. I'm just saying there will always be a connection between big capital and government Nazi Germany, or fascism is just that, the connection between them. I don't get your point.
Doug, I think you're looking at the names and trying to put too much stock in the actual names without realizing that Dennis Prager actually makes a really good point on this. And it's just the simplest of equations. The bigger the government, the smaller the citizen. And it doesn't matter what ism you want to associate with that. Right. So if it's socialism, communism, fascism, it doesn't matter, because they all eventually lead to a much bigger government. And because of that, you have a much smaller citizen, a citizen with fewer rights and fewer opportunities. That's simple.
Let me put a bow on this, okay? Because this whole idea that Nazis were capitalists, and it is ridiculous.
No,
it is an absolute fucking fallacy. They were completely into heavy state control.
Mm-hmm.
They built on a war economy and autarky. So they prioritized their military expansion over everything else. But they wanted self-sufficiency over free market principles. They suppressed the free markets. They either forcefully closed or purchased the free markets. They eliminated all labor unions. I just told you that. They eliminated labor unions. And you're a pro-FDR. It baffles me you're left of FDR, but you don't understand about pro-labor unions. Pro-labor unions, I just told you what they did with Volkswagen. They made a national car. That's not free market capitalism. They were always about political loyalty over like market efficiency. And they were opposed to liberal capitalism because that's what the Jews were. The Jews were liberal capitalists. That's why they rose to power, because it was an open free market system. The Jews ran the government. They ran the money. They were blamed for World War I and the Versailles Treaty. They were an easy scapegoat. But whether you like the Jews or not, it sounds like you don't. They were opposed to liberal capitalism in its sense. They were not socialists in any way, shape, or form. Or excuse me, they were not free market capitalists in any way, shape, or form.
Right. There you go.
And they were not conservative in any way, shape, or form. They wanted big government. They wanted government control of everything. They wanted censorship. This is just a sheer, and I have utmost respect for you. And your reason you're getting time is you gave $12 and you have questions, and I respect that. But I'm just going to disagree with you 120%. You're right. We don't agree. We just disagree.
Real quick, you asked me to give you a reminder of the donation if we were going to stay late. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, so what we're doing, if we hit our goal before 9 o'clock, we're going to stay an extra hour to do Sean Hannity and Elon Musk interview. We got to crush the goal. Been a little light this week. We've been hitting it, but got to have a big impact. So if we can hit it, it's not blackmail. It kind of is. That is not free. See, that's me taking control of the show and not creating a free market. See, I'm a socialist.
That's a bonus. It's not a...
Sounds like a bonus. It sounds like an incentive. I'm giving you an incentive. Anyway, Doug, great conversation, man. Hopefully you call on the show sometime and we can have this conversation. The point is this. I think we can all agree that fascism being tossed around like a moniker and making people wear it like a jacket simply because you choose for a different party or people you disagree with is not the definition of fascism. In fact, we don't have an oligarch. We don't have a tyrannical ruler. Doug says, thanks for being a good sport. No, you too, buddy. Good fucking conversation, man. I like talking to people who have no... Listen, just because we don't agree, who cares?
Yeah, it didn't devolve into an ugly place. Nobody got called names or anything like that. That's the way you're supposed to be able to have these conversations on the internet. And Doug, I completely understand. I'm with you. Thank you so much, Thomas Austin.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you. And Liv,
Doug,
could you please, Liv, could you add $22 to the overall donations, please, because of the YouTube super chats? Go ahead, Leroy.
When you add all of the end goal states of socialism, fascism, and communism, when you add all of them and look at what they look like, had those countries been successful, they're virtually identical. So I understand what you're saying. I'm going to respectfully disagree, and I'm going to tell you that free market capitalism and embracement within the United States of the individual and the individual rights, that is the greatest thing that we have going for us. And that is what keeps us from becoming these. And again, I'm going to say it. I'm going to tell you right here now. Fascism is, in fact, a far left-leaning ideology. And that's just the way it is, folks.
Thomas, I think did Olivia pop you in twice? If she did, we need to fix that. Yeah, so I think she put you in twice. But we need to put Doug in there for $22. Liv, did you hear me about Doug? I know Doug put $22 in a super chat, so that needs to go in. But we need to take off Thomas Austin. It's got to refresh. You got to refresh, or I got to refresh? No, I think. Okay, let me know, folks. We're not at 213, so that's a bad number. We'll be right back.
The Dumb Store is veteran-owned with a 5-star diamond rating for service and satisfaction. We offer quality products like coffee, shirts, hoodies, and hats, all made by veterans. Shop with confidence, backed by hundreds of 5-star reviews. Use code DUMB10 to save 10%. Visit thedumbshow.com today. Thank you for your support.
Giving Doug last word because so respectful, nice guy.
Yeah.
Says super
right.
chat. Yeah, he's all right. Agree to disagree, brother. Unfettered capitalism. Doug, Rumble chat. Thank you, Dougie. Agreed to disagree, brother. Unfettered capitalism will always come to its natural conclusion, a greed-driven police state.
One of my most favorite guys of all time addresses the word greed. Most people tend to throw it around as a bad thing, and certainly it has some negative connotations. But do me a favor, not now. Stick with us for now. But
I've seen this.
Look up Walter Williams' definition of greed, and then come back to me and tell me what you think.
Yeah, Simon Sinek does a good one too. He talks about greed, and then of course you can always watch Wall Street, and Michael Douglas gives a pretty good performance on what greed is. I don't think greed is bad. I think greed is, but that's a whole nother conversation. Hold on.
Just while he's got everyone on mute, greed in terms of Walter Williams, he actually has a string of videos where he talks about why greed is a good thing, not a bad thing. And it has to do with it's the desire to do better for yourself, so much so that you're willing to do business with people that you wouldn't normally do business with.
Yeah. As far as capitalism becoming a police state, yes, because if you do capitalism correctly, it should garner you a plethora of money, and it should make you successful. And then you have an obligation in order to protect yourself and your interests to take an active involvement in the world stage geopolitically. China didn't necessarily want it to be a military superpower. They want to be an economic superpower. But alas, you can't have one without the other. Russia didn't want to be an economic superpower, but realized in order to gain military superiority, they had to have economic dominance too. So we can go say the same thing about the Nazis. The Nazis, the only thing they wanted, they didn't care about money. They cared about militarization of their entire country and a self-sufficient, autonomous military as well. So I don't agree. Listen, it doesn't matter whether we agree. You have a perspective, I have a perspective, and we can both learn something from it. This is Dmitry Shetitsky, and you've got to know a little Rus. Yeah, Dmitry Shetitsky. He is wearing a.
Yeah. I know.
Here's my problem with this photo is, first of all, you're rocking an AR with no modifications, straight out of the box. And that's fine. Because I know a lot of guys with iron sights that are just fantastic. I'm pretty decent at iron sights myself. But I am seriously struggling to believe that you're in country. You're wearing 3 different pieces of military camo, 2 different branches of camo. Your camo is not very good, by the way, for the time of year that you are and what pattern you're wearing. Your glasses are completely useless. And if you fire your rifle, you're going to have a shell casing on your eyeball with those glasses. And anyone who knows or fired a rifle or a handgun with any serious velocity velocity in a prone position, which if you're going to fight a battle, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm
You're
kind of
also
dubious about this entire photo. It doesn't
yeah. Well,
look
hold on.
correct to me.
Don't break it all down yet. But my point
I'm not.
is that any person who dresses like an operator, who's wearing CRT style fatigues, and you probably have your own rig, and it's not a $4.99 Walmart AR-15 special. Okay.
Right.
I respect iron sights. I use iron sights on many things. My standard concealed carry, I don't have iron sights. I have iron sights only. On my M1, I'm iron sights. But if I'm going to have my ass on in a sling in Ukraine, I think I'm going to have a rig that is better than this if I'm going to dress like he's dressed. That's all I'm saying. So my first impressions are strange. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Strange.
Very.
Here are his comments. Demetrio Shetisky says, America, I have a question for you. I love these, Leroy. This goes to you and I. You chose Donald Trump as your president.
Yep.
Yes, we did. And today your president picked up the phone and called the world's #1 terrorist.
Shouldn't he?
Chuck Schumer? Not to demand justice, not to hold him accountable, but to talk, to negotiate, to treat him like a legitimate leader. Russia has the third largest standing army in the world outside of the United States, has one of the top 10 economies in the world, is a global superpower by all standards. He is a legitimate leader. Just because he happens to be dictatorial and a little wacko, it doesn't mean he's not a world leader.
Doesn't mean he's not a legitimate leader. Correct.
And also, if you want to split hairs, Ronald Reagan negotiated with Gorbachev to cease nuclear proliferation. Obama negotiated with Iran. Donald Trump negotiated with Taliban. And some of those were the largest terrorists at the time. So what you're saying is that you're not okay. Well, we'll get to that. Then you say, so tell me, how do you feel about that? I feel great. I feel great that Donald Trump in 3 weeks already is getting a sit down with Putin, and Zelensky is literally fucking screaming to the top of his lungs and will not show up, and is garnering Europe to actually do what Europe should have been doing all along by supporting this more than the United States. So good. Trump's getting it done. We can spend less money in Ukraine, saving us money left and right.
Thank you, Deidre.
Deidre, what the?
Oh my God. Blackmail paid for the extra hour.
Extra hour.
Wow.
Jeez.
I am dancing for her.
It's still not good enough. I wanted a bigger day than this. No, Deidre, we love you. You're the best. I'll do the extra hour. God darn, woman.
Wow.
That's great. Thank you, hon. You're the best. Would you have accepted a president who called bin Laden after 9/11? No, but I would have accepted a president who would have terminated bin Laden. But calling bin Laden is not comparable. Because
it's not.
if you understand this, is calling bin Laden isn't feasible because we supposedly didn't know where he was. And I'm sorry, buddy. We moved on. I'll read your comment quickly. And we have socialism in this country already, just for corporations through government subsidies. Elon receives a tune of $8 million a day from us. Yeah, and for a company that's going to be worth $1 trillion, that's nothing. That's a whole other conversation. He does a lot more than vehicles for the United States government. And Starlink happens to be very similar to satellite phones. As a revolutionary technology as satellite phones were, not for the civilian sector, but for the military industry and for, I almost said industrial complex, and for larger businesses and oil rigs and everything else. Satellite phones have been a huge plus. Starlink it has revolutionized access to high speed. So I don't know, man, but that's a whole other conversation. Would you have justified sitting down with ISIS? No, because ISIS would clack off a vest in the middle of the conversation. So no, I would not suggest anyone to sit down with ISIS. I think we should eradicate ISIS and Al-Qaeda and Taliban as often and as quickly as we can. So that's the negotiation process, is to terminate them. Because that's exactly what just happened. No, it's not even remotely. Russia is part of Geneva Convention. Russia is a part of the global stage. Russia has borders. Russia has a form of government. We have Russian citizens in this country. We have American citizens in Russia. It's not even remotely close to the same thing. And we have embassies in Russia, and they have embassies here. You're literally mixing penises and vaginas.
Yeah.
You're saying, oh well, they're both sexual organs, so they're the same. No, they're not. Go ahead, Leroy.
Well, the whole thing is predicated on a logical fallacy, and I think you're already exposing it, but I'm going to put it in slightly different terms. What you're basically saying is that you don't think that Putin is a legitimate world leader, like in charge of a $2 trillion economy and is a major exporter of both food and gasoline or oil. Right? You don't think that that's true, whereas bin Laden or ISIS or any of those are somehow, one of those two things has to be true, right? So you would either have to say that Putin is not a world leader, which clearly he is,
find out for me,
or that bin Laden and ISIS are in fact somehow world leaders with something in their assets, some either nuclear weapons, or they're a major exporter of something. But neither one of those things are true. So you're already, to Matt's point, you're already on the wrong track here.
Dimitro said, I've buried brothers because of Putin. That's okay. We've buried brothers because of Taliban and al-Shabaab and Al-Qaeda. And I don't know what to tell you, man. We've buried brothers because of Saddam Hussein. We've buried brothers because of Putin also. We've all had situations that, especially in the military, where we've put people to rest who we lost because of world leaders. I've lost brothers because of Bush. Thank you, baby.
Yeah,
folks, we've hit our goal, but we're going for big time tonight. We're trying to drive this thing as much as we can. If you can help out, hey, Liv. Sorry, Liv's helping out. So we've all been in that situation. And here's the thing, is there are Russians here inside the United States who've lost people because of Zelensky. And just because you find Zelensky's disposition to be altruistic doesn't mean he's any less responsible than Putin for people dying. Well, he's defending his own. So it's a matter of virtue for you, right? So now you're getting into an emotional argument. But if we're just talking tit for tat, you lose on this argument.
I would also.
I've seen. Oh, go ahead.
No, I would also say that just because you have kind of mislabeled each of the world leaders, right, that still doesn't even prove the point. Specifically, when you're talking about, whether or not we would deal with Putin or not, I would think that because he's a major world leader who has the ability to back off, right? That you would want a leader with enough, sack to reach out to the guy and say, all right, look, what is your off ramp here? What at what stage would it take for you to back the hell completely off?
Yeah,
You
that's
wouldn't
and
want
then
a
yeah,
leader. You wouldn't want a leader to reach out to an asshole like that and say, "What is your off ramp here?"
right.
Because I think that that's the exact opposite of what you're saying. I say that the person who reaches out to their enemy is the guy that is the leader.
Yeah.
As a leader, you don't just deal with people you like, right? That's not a leader. As a leader, you deal with people who you don't like. And unfortunately, we're in this terrible situation of we have to deal with this mess, right? We have a guy who was responsible for the deaths of millions, but he also happens to have his finger on nuclear weapons,
Yep. Okay, so
right?
we're going to move
So
forward. We
go ahead.
we got to keep we just got to keep moving forward on this. You and I both can go on for hours picking this guy apart. So let's just try to keep it to like 30 seconds to a minute. It's my fault too. But we've got a big show we got to get it done before 9. I've seen civilians executed, okay? Yep, that happens in war. Children crushed under rubble. Yep. So far 2 out of 3 for both Leroy and I. Entire families wiped off the earth. Let's say a big 3 for 3. War is shit. And yet Trump, your leader, just gave that monster a seat at the table. No, he has a seat at the table because it's not defined by us. It's divine. It's defined by his stasis in and around this planet. And our world leadership they can deny him all they want. We can pretend he's not there, but we tried that with Hitler, and how did that work out? For 3 years, Ukraine has been fighting for survival, standing on the front line of freedom. The American people have stood with us, and I will always be grateful for that. But now your president stands with our enemy. So I'll ask again, America, how do you feel about it? I'll just tell you how I feel, and I'm going to answer it right now for you. Dmitrio Shishetsky, I wish you the very best. France came and gave us massive amount of support in order for us to beat the English, and without the French, we would all be speaking with a limey accent, drinking tea with bad teeth right now. So I got to thank the French. But you know what they didn't do? They didn't fight the war for us, and they didn't bankrupt their own country doing it, and they didn't literally propel themselves into to assured destruction by continuing to play Russian roulette in an area which Article 5 dedicates us to a war, a world war. So I got to give the French a little credit and say thanks to them, but we've done more than the French ever did for us in our own revolution, and now it's your time to fight yours. I wish you all the luck. You can't win every fight you get into. It sucks. And there's going to be problems. Maybe instead of spending money on trafficking and giving the money to the oligarchs and the mafia, instead of focusing on Azov battalions that emulated Nazis, instead of killing Russians in a civil war since 2014, instead of being a fake installed leader and not truly embracing a capitalist republic/democracy, an elective representative, you've stalled elections in your country. You say that the people prefer this, but you've never given them the voice. Instead of the money laundering and sex trafficking that you've done, instead of the false and fake news that you've put out and tried to manipulate Americans as much as Putin has, maybe you're not as good as you think you are. And the reason why the litmus test for this is that you are not a part of NATO for a reason is because you're too fucking corrupt. So good luck to you, sir. For God and country, I hope that maybe instead, once you get done with Russia, you might turn it inwards and go after the capital, because I think the true enemy of the Ukrainian people are Ukraine. As much as Russia is a true enemy of Ukraine right now, when Russia is gone, or at least in a stasis of a demilitarized area and the Donbass and Donbass area, you should turn it towards the capital of Kyiv, because I believe those are the true enemies of the Ukrainian people. Leroy, your final 2 on this?
No, I would completely agree with all of that. I think that I had this discussion the other day with my wife, and she was like, why do we care about Ukraine as much as we were helping them? And I just, the best analogy I could come up with was that they are two crooked, very crooked. Think of it as like gangs, rival gangs fighting over the same territory. And one guy just happens to be quite a bit bigger. Does the little guy deserve to be pounded into oblivion? No. But neither one of them are exactly innocent either. And
Right.
so we have kind of allowed this to go on to fester. And it was probably a mistake. And it was a mistake, at least from the American point of view, it was a mistake simply because we had weak leadership who wouldn't stand in and say, no, look, this is the line in the sand. If you do this, we're going to have issues.
That's right. Olivia has moved the goal to 550 because people have been so incredibly generous. Either way, we are doing the hour-long show. We would love to hit that 550. We're $156 away, and we're doing the hour-long show. Listen, just do it till it feels good. Don't do it till it hurts. We don't believe in that unless it's just a tip, just to see how it feels, because you never know, folks. It might just be a good thing. Let's go to Charlie Block, and we'll be right back.
Join wimkin.com, the social media platform built for free speech and true connection. No censorship, no algorithms controlling your feed, just genuine conversations and a commitment to protecting your rights. Sign up today at wimkin.com and take back your voice. Tell them Matt and the Dumb Show sent you.
Go over to Wimkin, get yourself signed up. Pretty simple. You need your email address. You got to pick a picture. You got to do the whole thing. Fill out the entire profile. Sign up. It's free. It even asks if you want to donate, but you can just choose the free account. You can see us. It's just like Instagram, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. It's all rolled into one. It's a fantastic free speech platform from people like-minded, just like you. 9 million followers. Wimkin is a provider and I don't know, kind of like a benefactor of the show. They take care of us, and we appreciate them for sure. Jason is good people. Go on over there. Make sure you do all that, sign up, save your username and password, and then in 24 hours, just sign up. They've blocked all emails going from Wimkin because they don't want the competition. You can read about it on the internet. The point is, if you have any problem with your account, get a hold of Olivia or myself. You can email me at matt@thedumbshow.com or olivia@thedumbshow.com. By the way, $394 out of 550, one hell of a night. It's good, and we definitely need it. Stephen Miller, I love this guy. He has no problem going on CNN and just waxing. He happens to be a bald brother of yours, and yep, you should listen to this. Then we'll comment. This is about 3 minutes, but it's actually closer to 4. But it's that good. Enjoy. After I change the audio.
Steve Miller. I always think of the comedian.
I always think of the musician.
Oh,
Steve
yeah.
Miller. Steve
Go
Miller
on,
Band.
take the money and run. Yeah.
That's right. Toker. I'm a smoker. I'm a midnight joker. Okay, here we go.
In charge of Doge.
The President of the United States.
He's the administrator of Doge?
No, the Doge is what was formerly U.S. Digital Services. It's an agency of the federal government that reports into the executive office of the president, which reports to the President of the United States.
Okay.
JD, we had a huge donation by Deirdre, and other people have been helping. We're doing an extra hour tonight from 9 to 10 to cover the Elon Musk and Sean Hannity. I offered to stay on if we could really crush our goal, and everyone's helping. So please don't stop. Olivia bumped the goal to overtime, so there we go.
The way that Article 2 works is a president wins an election, and then he appoints staff, including myself, including Mike Waltz, including Susie Wiles, including Elon Musk, and those staff report to him.
Okay, well aware. So Elon Musk, a week ago, answered a question about transparency at Doge. This is how he spoke about Doge.
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X and to the Doge website. So all of our actions are maximally transparent.
But you hear him there. We post our actions. All of our actions are maximally transparent. Does Elon Musk know he's not in charge of Doge?
Again, the president runs the government, then the president appoints advisors, including Elon, including myself, including all the other staff here at the White House. And then those staff, in turn, execute the president's commands and directions to all the agencies of the federal government. This is how democracy works, something that we treasure in America. The whole American people go to the ballot box, they elect the president appoints staff, the staff then administer his orders and directives across the whole U.S. government.
Okay, Stephen, I get that, but this is important because we want to talk about who's making the decisions here. There were 300 employees, the National Nuclear Security Administration, you know about this. They were fired. The agency had to rescind those terminations because these were employees who were critical to maintaining the nation's nuclear stockpile. So then who is it making those decisions of which federal employees are terminated?
Terry, you don't ever have to listen, people. You never have to apologize for not donating. It's not about that. We have obviously internet bills. We've got to pay it. We've got to do everything we do to stream, to create the show. Don't worry. If you can't, we will be fine. The Don't Unfriend Me crew never lets us down. And Terry, you're not letting us down. You never need to apologize. Save your money. Don't pay me anything. If you're waiting for your next Friday check, then you take that check and you do what you need to do with it, and you don't give me a damn dime. And watch the show and enjoy it for free. If you can and you have the means and things are going well, rock and roll. If it's not, hang on tight and you never need to apologize. The show's always going to be free. The people who can will. Thank you so much.
Well, in that case, the Secretary of Energy would be the one. So what you're describing with the cuts in the Department of Energy, those are directed by the Senate-confirmed Secretary of Energy.
Okay, so that was the Secretary of Energy's mistake.
Well, I wouldn't use the term mistake. I would say that it's pretty standard when you're downsizing government. You make cuts, you assess those cuts, you see who needs to be rehired, who needs to be kept, who needs to be
That's not what happened here, though, Stephen. You know that. They were rescinded. These aren't normal things. These were terminations that were rescinded.
I understand that even a temporary interruption in federal employment is a great crisis and catastrophe for you and for CNN. What the American people see is a government that is finally delivering a promise of accountability under President Trump. You want to have a conversation about transparency? Let me ask you a question. Do you have any idea where the $22 billion that the Department of Health and Human Services provided to illegal aliens under Joe Biden is right now? $22 billion with a B. That's enough to provide a free house to every homeless veteran in America. Where's the $22 billion? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. Joe Biden just spent it, and now it's gone. Transparency begins with having an accounting of where every federal dollar is spent. And God bless President Trump for leading this effort.
Stephen, it seems like the crisis here had to do with the nation's nuclear stockpile. And for these particular federal workers, which I'm not, so this isn't my personal crisis, military members of the Guard and the Reserve. I don't think it's a crisis, and you don't think it's well. Hold on. I don't think it's a crisis, and you don't think it's a crisis. Then why are we talking about it? Military chief of.
She is not helping her case.
No, and this is why I don't debate people, because there's no reason. Like, if that conversation seemed difficult for you to follow. The reason why is because Stephen Miller is not going to allow propaganda to dictate the conversation. He is going to simply state, he's simply going to say, well, if you don't think it's an issue and I don't think it's an issue, then why are we talking about this? So it comes down to the problem with debates. And I'm just going to give you a little hint, and then I'm going to just leave it up to Leroy to close this off. Is the problem with debates today is that people are not hearing and listening with active listening, not passive, active, to answer the person's question. They're literally waiting for that person to stop talking because they have found an anecdotal pontification to contradict with a false equivalency something that they deem important or that will score them quick points. Correct. Stephen Miller doesn't do that. Stephen Miller listens to answer the question and then tell you why your question was stupid. It is something that I love to do. I don't debate. That's why I'm like Nick Fuentes. Like, Nick Fuentes doesn't debate. That's why Nick Fuentes will debate anybody. Ben Shapiro debates. And I would have no problem debating Ben Shapiro because I'm not going to walk into a buzzsaw. Like, if he wants to talk about Judaism and the history of the Canaans or the Jesuits, yeah, I'm just not even going to enter that conversation. I'm going to listen to him. I'm going to sit in the front row and take notes. But if he wants to talk to me about the military and geopolitics, I will fucking spank him 21 days to Sunday. So, one, if you're going to go into a battle of wits, ensure that you recognize the battle and you come prepared. Number two, stop listening just to get a gotcha. Listen to the person's question, and 9 times out of 10, a follow-up question will sink them because they have no idea what they're talking about. And third, the most important thing, go in with your ability to change your mind. Otherwise, what the fuck are you doing there? If you can follow those 3 rules, you'll have a great conversation. If you don't, it is going to be the shit show we see in the streets, what we see on Ben Shapiro versus a 17-year-old transgender lesbian with no leg. Same shit. Leroy, take us home.
Well, that whole interaction was painful to watch, for one. First of all, that can be framed in a way. Obviously, she was trying to frame it in a way where, because Elon Musk is doing what he's doing, that they're letting people go from the government who shouldn't maybe have been let go. Okay, fair enough point. However, right? If the whole point is that it's a government efficiency agency, then you should question who is fighting against said efficiency, who is trying to evade such efficiency examination. Folks, there are more than 4. Thank you so much, Frank. Great show as usual. Well, thank you. I was tracking this, and I don't really say this kind of thing too often, but there are more than 400 government agencies. More than. And actually, they don't actually have a solid number on that because the Federal Register hadn't been updated in some time. So we know that it's more than 400, but we actually don't know the correct number. And so when we're talking about government efficiency, and we're talking about what we talk about on the show, which is how many agencies and oversight committees and how many, this and that group, how many of these 3 letters get stood up, right, with some goal that nobody ever, you hear about once every 10 years, you should be questioning where your government is spending your money. There was a quote, or a tweet rather, that came out a little earlier today that said it was from Elon, that a $4.7 trillion black hole in the U.S. government spending just got exposed. Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency discovered that nearly $5 trillion in the Treasury Department payments has been processed without a mandatory identification code today, making the money nearly impossible to track. Now, we're not saying that money is being, spent nefariously, for sure, but to not know where it went, folks, if you were going to hand the government, and this is the breakdown, by the way, this is the legitimate breakdown of that money. If you were going to hand over to the government $23,500 of your money, would you want to know where it went? Just a question. And so when you see that that exchange between the reporter and Stephen Miller, that's her basically saying, no, that $23,500, I don't care where it went. I know that it's doing the correct thing in the government's hands. That's a silly argument. And Stephen Miller is just pointing that out to her, which I thought was great.
I told you. That's all. Remember when you guys were saying, Matt, please, show us the missing receipts, show us the lines that have been missing that is unaccounted for money. There it is. And I did the right thing and not release it because that didn't come out until Elon Musk said it, but I knew about that. And Leroy was on the call when I said, tomorrow we'll talk about it, about the receipts. And then I held off talking about it because it wasn't confirmed from Doge and it wasn't released by them. So I held on to it. But I gave you those missing receipts and gave you the number was in the trillions. And that's not even the Defense Department. Wait till that comes.
Oh my
So
God.
you're welcome for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show, because I raised my hand because I called that shit. Just remember where you heard it first. You didn't hear it from anyone else. You only heard it from here. Nope. I trolled all the shows. I listened to all of them. Nobody was talking about it. So that means that if it's unaccounted for dollars, that is the definition of fraud. And if you have missing receipts and serial numbers not attached, that's also fraud, because that does not follow the proper procedure for accounting. Remember that.
10 more seconds. 10 more seconds.
Oh,
One last comment,
yeah,
and
go
then,
ahead.
and
Go
then I'll
ahead.
shut up. Every president, going back to Clinton, has made this part of their platform to say, we know that there is wasteful spending going on in the government, and my administration is going to do what we can to stop that. And every one of them have said that. This is the first administration to actually do it.
Fair enough. We've got airplane stuff coming up. But this is, before that, Matt, read Chuck Rawlinson's comment. Yeah, they probably fired them long enough for Trump and Musk to steal nukes. Yeah, that's right. Yep, they're stealing nukes. Okay, whatever. Take your SSRIs, buddy. Take a lot of them. Take a handful. Go over as long. First of all, take your prescribed dose, because I don't want you to OD. But then I want you to go ahead and find something called Liberal Tears. And you want to take a couple drinks of that, and then you want to get a man pawn and place that in the proper area of your body. Do you understand how stupid what you just said was? I can't even begin to tell you. I don't even know why Amy told me to read it. But let me do it again. Leroy, here it is. Yeah, they probably fired them long enough for Trump and Musk to steal nukes and give her to sell communist buddies to use for their own agenda. You understand that Russians have more nuclear weapons than the United States and England and Israel combined. Do you know Russia has amassed the largest nuclear armaments of any nation? And they have been for 60 years.
Yeah.
Do you understand that Russians need another nuke like they need another prostitute or a bottle of vodka?
Right.
Or pierogies in snow.
Tuberculosis. Yeah.
Right. So, Chuck, fuck, dude, just shut up. Don't talk. Please. Yeah. Just do the world a favor. Don't speak.
Now here's the thing, Chuck. If you were that far conspiratorial, then would you agree then that it would be wise for us to not trust the government? So,
or were you also upset at Uranium One? Were you upset at Uranium One? Do you know what that is? Google it, buddy. And then put in front of it HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Are you upset at that? Were you upset with the billions of dollars and the pallets, $150 billion that we gave back to Iran that was used to kill ally countries all over the nation and soldiers? Were you upset with the $20 billion in gold that Biden assigned to 8 shell companies for the new the new position? I don't remember what it was. It was like labor secretary. It was whatever. But hid $20 billion in gold. You okay with that? So stop clutching pearls, bro. Seriously, right. You don't care. You don't care. You guys sit there and talk about Trump leaving weapons behind in Syria, but you didn't give a shit about Afghanistan. You don't care. Yeah. So stop the double standards. To sit here and say that Donald Trump needs what a nuke is going for on the open market and needs that money is ridiculous. It is just stupidest. It's like when you guys said he was selling top secret documents. You're a fucking idiot. Go ahead, Leroy.
Oh, I was just going to say, you know how we had that conversation earlier with the people that were just desperate enough to go ahead and throw out terms like Nazi and see if it stuck to the wall. This is that type of conversation.
So stupid. It's just stupid. Donald Trump Biden selling nukes. Do you really think he's just going to walk into Wyoming and go, excuse me? Yeah, can you give me a minute, man, please? Just go ahead and let me have that. Back that up to this F-150. Let's go ahead and just sell it on the open market. But the most idiotic thing that you're stating is that even if he did sell them on the open market, he would be assuring his own destruction that's going to go off onto a NATO country or go off in the United States. Does that make any fucking... You're just an idiot. I don't even know why I'm addressing you. I mean, I literally beating my head with a baseball bat would be more productive than having this conversation. So let's move on. Once again, this guy, Chuck, gives a perfect example. The left doesn't know what they're mad at. They have to make shit up to hurt their own feelings, just like he did. I'm going to make this up, got to make it up to hurt my feelings. So here is a fantastic interview. I don't watch a lot of these. This guy's from Alex Jones. I'm not a fan of Alex Jones. I don't care. But this is hilarious. I want you to watch one guy who is at almost every shot. But the left doesn't even know what they're upset about. Watch.
What rights is Trump denying you?
Oh, well, let me talk about my uterus first. I don't have access to appropriate medical care.
So you're talking about abortion. Let's just say what it is. It's abortion. So what right is abortion? Where do you have a right to abortion?
Don't talk to this guy. It's Alex Jones.
This guy, the guy in the hoodie, controlled opposition. He's probably a Fed.
Oh, okay.
Did your mother have any kids? Any kids that live? Alex Jones is the one that said that those kids who died were not.
So you survive your abortion,
huh?
Where do you publish?
I publish all over the place, all over the internet.
Where can we look for this?
You can look for this on X, Elon Musk platform. I'm sure you have an X account.
I don't look at X. I quit X when that prick bought it because it's like a Nazi platform now.
It's a Nazi platform?
Yeah, it certainly is. You should check it out.
I don't know what that. I don't know how it's a Nazi platform.
I'll tell you how. Oh, you haven't? Have you not been on there?
I'm on there all the time.
Then you must know. You must not pay very close attention.
What makes it Nazi?
Read it, friend.
I do read it. I read it for news. I just get news there. Like I knew this protest was going to be here.
Is that the only place you get news?
No, I get news from everywhere, actually.
Tell us where else. It's very right.
I mean, literally everywhere. Fox, CNN, MSNBC. I'm new. Have I not? I've not been doing this very long, no.
Yeah.
So inform me.
Just the fact that you don't realize that X is a pro-Nazi platform and right-wing.
So how is it pro-Nazi?
Read
it. Well, you keep saying read it, but what does that mean?
Elon Musk is.
Elon Musk is a Nazi.
You know, Elon Musk has like 5 Jewish children.
Oh,
great.
So how is he a Nazi?
He just got done stooping a Jew, Ashley St. Clair. Got her pregnant, and it's all over the internet. She's a conservative freaking personality, and holy shit, is this thing getting hot? I mean, for a Nazi, he sure screws a lot of Jews. I'm just saying.
Jewish children.
William Douglas, your picture looks like you just ban him. William Douglas right now. I am so sorry to interrupt your profile. I just wanted to say you have an adorable smile you got there with little ones. Beautiful. I will be a friend to you, but I don't want to be intrude upon my privacy or sending ever. Shut up. I'm trying to fucking make a joke and you won't stop talking. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, broke character. Please shut the fuck up. I'm trying to make a joke and you're ruining it. A little fact about the Nazi Party. The literal definition of Nazi is the National German Socialist Workers' Party. That's right, Howie. We said that. Anyway, since he ruined my joke, just ban that prick. Here you go. Thanks for ruining my joke, Leroy.
You gotta do your homework.
He knows. What homework? What have I not known?
Chief.
What do you not know?
He doesn't care about who?
His children, his Jewish children. He doesn't care about them.
He doesn't care about them. He just takes care of them and hangs out with them and sees them.
He doesn't even hang out with them.
How do you know that?
This is that one for a human shield.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And he also has a trans daughter.
So when did you start hating Elon Musk?
He has a trans daughter and he doesn't recognize.
He got into the Treasury and had his little minions hack our.
What's been hacked?
The Treasury men. Okay, they must not have any real news on it.
No.
See, this is all they got, and this is 12 minutes of people just going, oh, well, obviously you don't know the super secret. Right. You don't know the super secret handshake. Well, if I don't have the super secret handshake, then the same can be said for you because you don't know what I'm listening to. So maybe your vacuum chamber is just as strong as my vacuum chamber. So why are you mad at me? Rob Lance, thanks for coming to subscriber. Leroy, you're going to take this home with us. We're just going to watch a couple more minutes.
Nothing has been hacked. Nothing has been hacked.
How do you tell us more about that? How
Okay. Would you like me to tell you? So the Department of Government Efficiency is going into all the different funding data. They're going into all of it, and they're finding hundreds of billions of fraud is what they're finding.
They found no fraud.
They found no fraud.
No fraud.
So how old? What's the average age for somebody to live?
Oh, you're talking about the 150 year. That happens.
You even know about the fraud?
Sure. That's not fraud, dude.
So paying somebody that's 150 years old Social Security isn't fraud.
You know, well, they're not. How do you know they're paying it?
Because they're in the system.
So what?
What Doge is doing is fine, but release the actual data.
It is.
Every day.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
Doge.gov.
There's literally a website.
Do you see this guy right here?
Yeah, I do.
I swear to God, I would have
punched his ass.
No, I just would have elbowed him right in the broken all his teeth. Just hit him right in the larynx, and then just smash his nose across his face. I could never do this job because that guy, I would hit him and I would be sued, and there's nothing I can do. But I can't, dude. I don't have the temperament for that shit. I just don't. I don't have it. I would drill him, and I'd blame you. Like Leroy did it.
Well, I mean, that's just our personalities. There's no way we could do this job, not with hands literally being juxtaposed in front of your face.
No.
Having gone through what we've gone through in terms of, military training and all of that, you would have to assume that every one of those is potentially this is not a friendly crowd. So these are threatening movements.
Yeah.
And
he's not even flinching.
Right. And they do that with the intention to garnish some sort of reaction.
Yeah,
they would want you to actually do that and turn it into a bigger publicity event.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I mean, I can debate all day long and talk to people live or in person, but I couldn't do this shit.
Blank. You show me the evidence.
They are releasing the contracts. They literally show the contracts.
They keep saying we found them, and they don't show any evidence. Do a reality television show and show the actual proof.
Yeah.
Line item.
It's happening every day. Yeah. Let's see. Here's your data on Social Security.
My dad.
Here's 1,000 people above age 20.
That's not proof. That's just a bunch of numbers listed.
This is literally the Social Security data sheet.
A bunch of numbers listed.
This is literally the Social Security data sheet. We're paying over 1,000 people over age 220 Social Security.
So,
do you know anybody over 200 years old, sir?
Oh no, that's not true though.
It's not true. See, that's
Not
what
true.
it is.
That's already been.
It's just not true.
That,
Oh, what's wrong with Project 2025?
Everything.
Can you name one?
Name one thing.
Robin, yes. For starters, the anti-immigrant stance.
Who's anti-immigrant?
Trump is going to try to troll you.
Wait.
And there you go. Here comes the censors.
How is Trump anti-immigrant?
Cowbell.
What are you doing out here?
You're an asshole.
Why does he hate that photo?
That's your dad.
Is this your litter?
No.
You sure? Because it looks like your litter.
Okay, well, it's not.
You want it?
No.
This guy's great.
The most juvenile little see you next Tuesdays. My 10 seconds. The old adage of lead, follow, or get out of the way. Okay? Also applies to leave me alone. Let's have a conversation, or let's cut to the fucking chase and start throwing hands. Those all apply. If you think doing a fake wet willy or putting a postcard on somebody, or if this is how 2-year-olds act.
Exactly.
You can't even explain why you're mad, what thing you're mad about today, because the thing yesterday had you just as incensed, and the thing tomorrow will eclipse yesterday and today. Okay? Leroy, go ahead.
Yeah, I completely agree. When I could never go to any of those. Basically, they devolve into just name calling and what we were addressing earlier in the show, which is just the abundance, the overuse of the word Nazi, or whatever the case is, just because people want to hurt other people. They want to demean them. that just what that old lady was doing. Oh, you don't know? Look it up. You know, in that very sarcastic. That is not an open-minded person.
Thank you, Janet.
Janet. That is not an open-minded person. And what you ultimately run into is when you're dealing with that level of person, that is the type of person that is more likely to actually commit violence against you.
Right.
And that's why I could never go there. Exactly. It's a living temper tantrum, but in crowd form. So I couldn't do that.
We don't need to go any further. I just thought it's a good video. You should watch it. Also want to thank somebody just picked up 2 bags of Tomahawk. That is Roger Newman. Roger, enjoy your Tomahawk coffee. Trust me when I say this, man, it comes fresh. You will love it. It is amazing. But you don't need to go crazy on the scoops. A lot of people do 1 scoop per 2 cups. Most coffee is 1 scoop, 1 cup. If you like it dark, use a French press. 1 cup, you'll be zinging like a freaking madman. Yeah, the French press is amazing. Enjoy the Tomahawk. It's good. All right, folks, we'll be right back. We're going to do the air crash. This one should be interesting. We've got 20 minutes before Fox and Leroy's got to go. So let's wrap this.
The Dumb Store is veteran-owned with a 5-star diamond rating for service and satisfaction. We offer quality products like coffee, shirts, hoodies, and hats, all made by veterans. Shop with confidence, backed by hundreds of 5-star reviews. Use code DUMB10 to save 10%. Visit thedumbshow.com today. Thank you for your support.
You haven't had a chance. The 4547 for Donald Trump coffee is brand new, and it is the Shiznit. We didn't up our prices. Prices are the same. Coffee is going up anywhere from 25% to 60%, and these effects have already taken place in a lot of people's pocketbooks. People try to buy coffee from Amazon. It's sold out. If you have a subscribe and save, it's gone. Our coffee is the exact same price. Yes, you pay a little bit for shipping and handling, and yes, it's a premium coffee. Most coffees are $19 to $24.99 on most shows. Ours is $16.99 and $10 shipping. You're going to pay a little more, but it is veteran-based, and it is fresh, roasted for you the morning up. We have the freshest coffee. We don't bag it and let it sit there for months at a time until we run a sale. You get it the day of. It is literally the shiznit. We have never had a complaint on our coffee. We've never been asked for a refund. It is one of the biggest sellers that we have. So go over and take a look, plus our shirts and stuff. Okay, we all saw the crash that took place. The Endeavor Air was a CRJ 900. And the CRJ 900 is considered to be one of the best aircraft on the planet as far as civilian aircraft, passenger aircraft. The CRJ 800, 700 are all still in not only production, but continued use for major airlines. And they have got just better and better when it comes to hydraulics, when it comes to avionics, when it comes to predictive forecasting and flight projection. It's fantastic. These are phenomenal aircraft. So to see one go down is an issue. We've got 2 videos. One you probably haven't seen. One you saw on the Dumb Show first. I think we were one of the only shows that had it up. I think Benny and I had it up, and that was it. So I want you to watch this, and I'm going to tell you what happened. Leroy has several people who are pilots. My brother-in-law was a pilot. My father was a Cessna pilot. I spent a lot of time with F-A-18 pilots, E-2C Hawkeye pilots. I've even got a couple of guys who flew A-6 Intruders. So I've got my collection of people. Let's watch this video. Thank you, JD. Says Doge accounting is best. It's huge.
It's huge.
We're about
$53.
$53 away from our goal. Real close. That's considered a huge. Oh no, more than that. We're about $100 away. We're really close. Like to hit it by 9 before we hit the Sean Hannity show. Let's see what we can do. This coverage should take care of it. We're going to tell you what happened on this crash. Let's go ahead and watch this and tell you what's happening. This is your CRJ, and the CRJ right now is landing gear down. Flaps are most assuredly up, which is pushing that down. People are like, why is it recording? People know it's going to happen. Dude, every time I go to the airport, I record planes for my son. Everyone does it. People who are in the parking lot have nothing else to do.
I do it all the time.
Now, here's the problem. This tells you what's wrong with this flight. Do you see this? She's actually nose down to the ground.
Nose down.
Yep. So she's nose down to the ground, and she's only nose down about 2.5 degrees. But that is not what a passenger liner does. Now, a combat aircraft, Doesn't matter whether it's an F-14 or F-18, whether it's going on a hard deck or whether it's going on a long runway. They are actually going to point and stay combat ready and stay flat to the horizon because that's what military aircraft do. And their suspension is designed for that. Okay? So when you look at an F-18 coming in on a hard deck on an aircraft carrier, it's going to drop about 852 feet a second. Scratch that. 852 feet. Yeah, I think it's not per second. What is it?
No,
is it a 10?
Fast.
Is it a 10-second base? No, because an F-18 comes in on a hard deck hard because it has to. It almost has to come straight down when it hits. So I think that's right. I think an F-18 it comes down at 852 feet. It comes down extremely hard and fast because it has to hit the deck, but it's designed for that with its suspension. Check me.
Correct.
I think I'm right.
And I'm glad you said that because while we're at that freeze frame that you just unfroze, if for anybody who's interested in this, in aircraft like this, whenever you're looking at military aircraft, and Russia is really good at this actually, their suspension is really, really beefy. It is elongated normally. The wheels are normally oversized. The struts are also normally oversized. They're much bigger diameter. The hydraulics that go into them are usually much, much beefier. So when you're looking at an aircraft like this, right, what do you see? Because it's not that. This is a much more gentler, kindler. This is a Toyota Tercel, right? That's flying around in the sky, not a Forerunner.
Yeah, and because of this, there's a couple things you need to know. One, it should be flaring. And a flaring means that it actually comes in at an angle. And this is like a 7-degree angle. It's not that steep, but it's enough to put the back wheels to ensure they touch first. The reason why you want the back wheels, the back two, is because the most solid part of the airplane is the wing. That's where the most structural integrity is. So they put those there. The nose is not the most integral part. In fact, the nose will absolutely collapse. If that landing gear goes down, that thing will turn into like a Pepsi can. Besides the windshields, that's the strongest part of the structure. But all the reinforced suspension is in the back. That's why you flare. Civilian aircraft flare. They go ahead and they catch some basic lift and the drag coefficient, which is the airspeed versus resistance versus their flaps and overall engine speed, and the aerodynamics of the aircraft allow it to almost float into a touchdown. Now, its average drop rate going into a runway, if I'm not mistaken, is supposed to be something like 200, maybe 210 per second. It would be considered abrasive and a hard landing. They want to come in dropping, almost to the point of 10 to 15, 20 feet in almost a glide slope. That's very, very slow in its descent. Most pilots, strong pilots, are coming down at like a 75 to a 100 feet a second. These and this one, I looked at the avionics report from Air GPS and Flight Tracker, 1,236 feet a second.
Ooh.
So this thing came in hot and flat, and what happened is it lost its suspension, and the wing dipped, and when the wing dragged, it obviously takes, essentially, imagine if you're spinning a basketball and you touch one side, it flips off and goes the other. Centripetal force takes place. That inertia movement is it transfers its energy to that point in the ground, which then kicks the energy, and kinetic energy transfers back into the aircraft, which creates a spin. We saw this in the helicopter crash as the rotor blades in the helicopter hit the right side starboard wing and hit and sheared that and then turned it into a spiral. Watch what happens here. Everything we're saying is going to play out as we've described it. Here it is.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. Oh, fuck.
Now, I could go ahead and I could measure this.
Oh, no.
This radio buoy marker right here, measure and get the sight, and I can tell you how fast he was going down. The data that I've received, it was over between 11 and 1,200 feet a second, which is way too fast. I want you to see right here, he's coming in. He's probably sitting at about 175 to 200 feet right here. And I want you to watch how quickly he comes down. too fast. The runway was clear. There were the crosswinds were negligible. There were 37 to 38, 40 mile an hour gusts. He didn't have any. And it's not like they don't land in those situations at all time. If they're seeing gusts at that point down on the flat when they are up in the sky at around the 500, 600 foot range, they're being waved off and they're being told to go ahead and circle around and do it again. By the way, the person that just downvoted us, I know you're not downvoting our show. You accidentally, your fat thumbs hit it. Switch it. Thanks. We appreciate it. Here we go.
Oh, fuck. 2, 3, igniting. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck.
You see the plane hopping. 2, 3, igniting. Let me get a pause here. So watch what happens. This is, hold on, this is really good. This is going to give you, do you see how it's coming slightly tilted to the right? I've got another video for you. But it shears off that landing gear. Look. And if you don't think he's dropping fast, it's because it's far away. Watch how quickly it shears off that landing gear. Boom. Wing then touches. Boom. Wing ignites. And then it tail spins. And that inertia flips the plane. The reason why is there's no stabilizing wing on the right side, so there's no resistance. And the actual force is going to spin with the roll of the aircraft, which happens, honestly, probably saved their lives, to be honest with you. If both of those wings would have exploded, the center would have taken the damage. Do you understand? Both sides would have ignited, but this roll put the fire out. See that? Watch it again, Leroy.
Yeah.
So ignition, that fuel disperses away. Second engine or second wing shears off, but does not ignite. That saved their lives. They would have probably burned up in a fiery inferno. Let me show you the next video, and then I'm going to hand it over to Leroy, get his thoughts, because he knows a lot about this shit too. This is the one you haven't seen. You're welcome. This is going to show you how fast this guy was coming in. And just remember, when you go, oh my God, we've never seen any of this stuff before. Well, this is why the Don't Unfriend Me show brings you this stuff. Here it is.
Ooh.
Too fast.
Way too fast.
Coming in way too fast. See the wobble?
You can actually see the moment it makes impact that it's the right side gear, the starboard side rear gear that collapses.
Right.
And so Matt's absolutely correct. The angle for which that thing was coming in based off of the other video was just too steep. And based off of that and the speed for which it came in meant that that landing was just abnormally hard. That hard landing is what caused that right rear landing gear to collapse because it just wasn't made for that level of impact. And once that weight kind of exceeded what that landing gear was capable of, it just collapsed.
And then the left collapsed.
And then at that point, it looked like when the right rear landing gear collapsed, the whole thing dipped, right? That wing dug into the ground and acted like an anchor, which then spun the whole thing over.
And I want you to see one thing. The left wing also shears. This is how big the impact was because you can see it. See the left wing is straight here? Straight, boom. See it? It then goes, it goes literally to like a 45-degree angle. So that left wing sheared and broke, which shows you the amount of kinetic force. The impact, I mean, I'm surprised people didn't lose teeth. If anyone had their tongue out, their tongue's gone. So this was a big hit. And also, it's indicative of how it put out the fire. It sheared those wings off, which is where all the fuel is contained. Now, it's coming on an approaching flight, so it probably didn't have a ton of fuel. It certainly wasn't bingo. They have enough to get back to a secondary or third airport along their flight path. But they usually will have a quarter of their reserves left. But here it is again in full time.
Oh.
You see it bounce. It bounces and skips. And that bounce kills the first landing gear, and then the second skip collapses this, wing shears off and rolls. This is pilot error. There's two things that happened. A lot of people say it's a wind shear. It's not. These trees aren't moving. There's no major gusts of wind taking place right now. You would see snow at 40 miles an hour. Even if it's been hit all day, it's just there don't seem to be any major wind gusts. There's some wind, but it's nothing that would tell these guys not to land. It looks like this guy came in off instruments. So either he was on the stick and did not watch his instruments closely, could have been in training, but it's my understanding these weren't Delta pilots, normal Delta pilots. These are auxiliary pilots, and they have a lot less hours and a lot less experience. And when it comes to, playing for the pros, they are not. Leroy, what do we miss on this
This
buddy?
whole thing, I don't think you're missing anything, but the whole thing sketches me out. And I know that Toronto can get some hellacious winds, but to your point, that would have shown on the runway. I might like to go back to the other video just to see if they had a windsock flying, one of those orange cones that acts as a direction and speed indicator. I don't know that was visible in the first video, but it wouldn't matter. It doesn't look like there's heavy winds. To Matt's point, this just looks like it was pilot error.
Yeah. Let me tell you how I know there's winds, and winds have been gusting all day. You can tell by the snow and the drift. It's definitely sporadic, and it's in a swirl pattern.
Not wind shear, though, yeah.
Yeah, but see that? But nothing's moving. Yeah. It's there's very little wind. You can see, look right here where this letter G is. Watch this drift right here of snow.
Yeah, it's not moving.
See it? Well, the one underneath. Oh, what the fuck? Watch this right here. This line. You can see the separation in the snow. All right. Here it comes. See it moving? There's a little bit of wind.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. It's not moving that fast. It's not blowing up all over the place.
Like
the run. What?
That's like maybe 10 knots in there. That's under the.
No, it's more than that. Look at this right here. Look at this wind. Look at the wind. That's moving some snow. It's probably 20 miles an hour, but he's headed into it. This wind is blowing into him. That helps him on his landing. That should have given him more lift because the wind's it's blowing into him right now. That's why that runway is set up like that. They don't want crosswind. They want the wind at his nose. At the very worst, at his back. Yeah. But look, that wind is coming straight into his nose. You can see it moving across the ground. See that? It's not swirling. Doesn't look like a lot of crosswind. This video screams it's pilot error, and I would be shocked. It's not an FAA situation because the FAA doesn't oversee this. You can't land flat. You have to have flare in your landing. I learned this with my dad's Cessna. I learned this with gliders. I learned it from F-18. I had an opportunity to go with Snoopy Team on several occasions on an E2C. We got to have a lot of different times on aircraft. You don't. Yeah. It's not military. Flying on a C-17 is much different than flying on a commercial aircraft. I'm just telling you right now.
Oh my God.
Pilot error.
I just thought about like the whole argument that everyone has been throwing around lately. It just dawned on me just now. Like somebody's going to try and turn this into like a DEI thing at some point, right? And they're going to say, "Oh yeah, look, they pulled Denzel out of the." They're going to make a movie about it now. Oh wait, they already did.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be pointing some serious fingers, and once the NTSB gets involved, saying that airliner, that the company is probably going to be asked to revisit all of their training.
Well, those people are lucky. Mel, you've got 30 seconds, hon, because I got to get on. Actually, you've got 2 minutes because I got to get on the Fox show and let Leroy go. Give him final thoughts.
Yeah, well, I'm going to disagree with both of you. I don't think that was pilot error. I'm thinking that's equipment error. And
well, it's still pilot error. That's still pilot error.
That's an aileron failure.
It's still a pilot error.
For him not to get. That's not. No, it's not. To me, it's not pilot error.
Sure. Who's responsible for the equipment of their airplane? Who's responsible for the equipment of the airplane?
The company.
The pilot. No, the pilot. The pilot's responsible for safety checks to ensure that all of his equipment is operational and calibrated, and his job is to check that.
Understand, but when he takes off and then something happens during the flight, and it happens all the time, systems go down while they fly.
Sure. Okay. So no, you don't need to trust me because I've already asked all these questions. So let me ask you this question: when he's coming in on approach, when he saw the horizon flat in his window, why didn't he know something was wrong? When he was not flaring his aircraft properly and he had same line of sight, why didn't he recognize and adjust that he had system failures or possibly needed to reboot? Why not?
Because that's where the thing happens. You don't know when that aileron's going to fail.
No.
And it could have happened.
I asked you.
As he's coming down, and he couldn't get the response from the aileron to give him the lift to get the nose off the ground. So
what you're saying is
at any time.
So what you're saying is
I'm
it's
saying
it's
this is
hold on. It's
equipment
not a
failure.
nav system problem. It's not a navigation problem. It's not you're saying that this is a hydraulic problem, is what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
So
And
why
it
do
can
you
happen
think
at any time. When he puts flaps up to get his nose up so that he can do his approach, it can happen at any time. It may not fully deploy, but by then he's already that close to the ground, like whatever. He's got no choice. He can't pull up. Where is he going to go? He's going to be out of fuel. So
no, he hits the no, that's absolutely incorrect. That's absolutely incorrect.
Well,
That goes against every single thing you're saying goes up against any pilot. He's got at least 25% of fuel reserves in there. They top these things off. He has the ability to get to secondary and third airports with fuel. If he noticed something at 200 feet, he had more than ability to hit throttle and flaps down at that point. When he was coming in flat level, even he should be at a 7 degree up when he's at 500 feet. At 600 and 750 feet, he should be coming in at a glide slope of 7 degrees. He was down 3. How did he not recognize that? Why didn't he go on the throttle?
I'm thinking it happened at the very end because if you watch out when you sit
his
on
glide
the window
slope was
seat, you watch
wrong.
them. They do up and down ailerons during the whole landing. They move up, they move down, they move in sides
Yes.
like up. So
Yes.
it's an ongoing process as they're landing. It's not just as all of a sudden you put the ailerons at a certain point, and that's where
I'm
they
aware of
stay
this.
for your whole
And
landing.
that's
not
usually
how it goes.
controlled
It
by
goes
a computer. It's usually
I'm gonna
controlled
be
by the
curious to
computer.
know what the black box is on that one.
No, because on a landing the computers don't. That's not how they roll.
Yes, it
It's
is.
all
You're absolutely wrong. On a CRJ 900, the computer system actually has assisted landing, assisted takeoff, and any
It
type of
does.
catastrophe. Yes, it does. And the CRJ also, in any type of cataclysmic event, will have warning systems that will override what's taking place if it's going to create a cataclysmic event. Whether it's turbulence, whether it's engine failure, whether it's anything else. The CRJ 900 is the most advanced passenger aircraft, one of the most advanced on the market today.
I fly on it all the time because that's
Right.
what we have up here to get
Right.
from small places to whatever.
Right.
And that's why I see and do and whatever. And I've gone through all these weird, horrible situations where weather and wind and like whatever.
Sure.
And I watch, and because I worked with the 18 Squadron for X number of thousands of years and did with those pilots too. Yes, that landing was not like whatever. You can't land on a nose gear. There's no way. The nose gear's not designed for it. And they know that. So it is. And
So then why was he coming in
they
so
also-
fast?
That I can't answer, but I'm saying
Because that would
this
require
is a
hold on,
this is
Mel,
a
we got a show to watch. Listen up. So what you're saying is hold on. But I got to ask you questions, hon. I don't have time for like all of that. I got to ask you questions. So what you're saying is that it was a hydraulic failure and an engine failure at that time because he was dead on stick and then also had no power. So he came in dead stick. Then why wasn't a mayday given?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be sitting in that seat when all that shit's going on.
But that's what you think happened versus a pilot who made some critical mistakes.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
Okay.
thinking it's not
Cool.
pilot. I'm thinking it's electric.
Could it be
thinking
both? Could it be both?
it could be a combination of both, but I'm saying the initial whatever is mechanical.
Okay.
And
Leroy,
at a crucial point that they're like point of no return.
yeah. No. I listen. I've seen an F-18 snuff out its right engine coming in on literally 140 feet off the hard deck.
I've seen it. I've seen it stuff out too on a flat landing in the middle of the prairies at our base.
Yeah. Shit
because
happens.
of whatever. And did a glide.
I saw an E2C Hawkeye, literally its left wing was ready to touch deck when it came in. I mean, I'm with you. I've seen a pitch on an aircraft carrier push up into the aircraft while it's coming down and it's landing and ready to hit third hook. I'm with you. I know. I've seen these things too, but this is a very different thing. This is why the FA-18 and its overall hydraulic system and its overall suspension system is absolutely ridiculous. And it comes in, like I said, at that 800-foot-second drop to hit that deck and time it on a shortened runway, and it's designed for that. But there, in my opinion, listen, I'm not saying that this was all pilot error. I'm saying that too many things that are not conducive with a typical landing, checkpoint landing, were done here, where multiple systems had to failure. And if that thing was dead stick and just absolutely no control, then he would have no reasonable reason to hit the runway.
Right.
And if you look at right when he hits, you can see that back flaps come up. So he must have had hydraulic power on his back flaps, because if you watch the video, he starts introducing drag to it right when he touches. And that's a computer. That is a computer movement in the CRJ. That is my understanding. I talked to 2 pilots over this. I talked to an A6 intruder pilot, and I've flown enough with these guys. And I've also got 3 million miles in the air. You do too.
Yeah, no.
I think it could be both.
I pilot guys too in the last day, and I'm like, and we're all kind of on the same whatever. This is not just to say that this is pilot error, and with snow and wind, because the plane's coming from Minneapolis, they get the same kind of weather that Toronto does. So it's not to me, that was not the whatever, the crosswinds. They all know the drill. They all put the airports all bring the planes in with the wind at the noses on the runways. That's how you land aircraft. You always put the nose into the wind, so it gives the plane that
lift.
much more whatever. So like I said, I've talked to my guys too, and we're all kind of on the same whatever.
But you said you disagree with hold on. You said you disagree with most of what we said. It sounds like everything you said is what we said, minus the fact that you think it's system failure.
No, because both you and Leah were both saying it was pilot error, and I'm like, I can't buy into it was pilot error. Like,
now you're aware that these pilots are not CRJ 900 Delta pilots. You understand these are auxiliary pilots, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and they have less experience.
But there's pilots that go on all the flights and whatever. They all do jump seats with all the airlines, and they fly in different seats or whatever, according to their little pocket book that has their qualifications. Okay, I've got this much time on a Boeing 757. I got this much time on a Cessna 28, like whatever. They all have a book that says what they're and what seat they can sit in.
But kiddo,
so,
but Mel, here's the thing, is that no matter what, his flaps could have had like actuator failure. That's his responsibility to check his aircraft from top to bottom. And that is why it's pilot error. It's his job to, and even if he has failure, there are systems to report that. There are at the very least, if he has actuator failure, he hits the throttle. He hits the throttle, and that's why he's coming in with flaps down. He hits throttle, and he's going to lift. And that's why he's into the wind. He had plenty of lift. If he didn't even come in with the same approach. He came in 3 degrees down. So very well could have had actuator failure. Fine. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But the point is,
I'm thinking
he's supposed to check his aircraft.
It happened at the wrong moment. But anyways, we can all speculate. We'll get the eventual story, but I just don't want to blame.
Wait. Hold on. Tina just sent something. Hold on a second. Tina says, reports are reporting a flap actuator failure, and per FAA, owner operator is responsible for airworthiness of his aircraft. Okay, so Tina and I agree, but she's right. If this happened in the final approach, black box is going to tell it all. Did he have? Go ahead.
Not only am I curious to know what the black box is going to show, but to that end, although the owner of the owner of the airline is going to be one held mostly responsible. Matt's correct in that it still ultimately falls to the pilot, and what's going to happen is the airline is going to stand behind the pilot.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They're going to go in. They're going to give him a piss test. They're going to piss test that. Hold on.
One
They're going to
would
piss
hope.
test. They're going to piss test everybody. He's going to have a psych profile. They're going to go ahead and recreate the situation under the circumstances with standardized piloting. And they're going to go ahead and run multiple tests in multiple scenarios. And the thing is, this is what matters, that this pilot takes the hit. Did he? Bobby, you are a freaking godsend. 51.99 never stop. Is what I, and Mel, I want to say something about you in a second. Is they're going to go ahead and they're going to see if he checked the card. If he followed all the processes during an actuator failure. Did he follow his training? Second, did he do his pre-flight check? Did he do his pre-landing check, which we all know there's a pre-landing check where you test the flaps, you test the up and down, you check your thrust, you check this, you check that, you check your lift. All of those things are checked. Did he do those things? And if any of those things he didn't do, they're going to hang this guy out to dry. Mel, right, wrong, or indifferent? Okay.
Exactly. No, I agree with that final assessment. But yeah, I just didn't want it to go that this was total pilot error.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say it was total pilot error. What I said is it looks like he came in off nav.
Oh, he came in off.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's still pilot error. Even if he didn't stay, listen, if he is in a situation where the crosswinds are too heavy or the runway is not visible or any of those situations, he should have hit thrusters, went back, or hit thrust, went back up, circled around, did it again. This happens all the time in O'Hare. I swear, I've been on a critical loop. I think my maximum was 12 different times to land in Chicago. My butthole was
I've done it too, and I was getting tired of going. Just put this plane on the ground. You can get through this little cloud, and the runway is right there, and we can all see the flashing lights. But the pilots wouldn't put it down. We're like, seriously,
Did you
man?
see the Dalmatian on the fire truck?
Yeah.
You see the Dalmatian on the fire truck. Mel, I love you. I don't want you to think I was being contentious. I challenge you when you disagree. We've done this before, and I love you to death as always, and you are a huge resource for this show. We're going to find out. I think both of us are going to be a little bit right and a little bit wrong, but we'll find out.
Cheers.
See you, buddy.
Cheerio.
All right.
Bye.
Leroy gets a minute.
Leroy.
Say goodbye to Mel, Leroy.
Thank you, Mel. Love you.
Always.
And please, for the love of God, stay warm up there because just this is ridiculous.
Canada. Drink a lot during the Canada USA game. If we have our roster, we'll see what happens. Leroy, take us out because I want to show him the Elon Musk. I'm recording it. We'll show the whole thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. We had a really good show. We talked about a lot. We talked about what it means to be a fascist, what the differences are between fascism and socialism and communism, and then we moved on to Doge and who the people that were fighting that, right, should maybe be. I don't know why anyone would question government efficiency, but it does happen. And then we covered the unfortunate accident at the airport. Folks, it's a great show. Bobby Richardson, you are amazing. Who were the other? There was another one that was in there.
Deirdre gave 200 plus. Mel always gives like after she calls in. It's like I don't know.
My heart goes out to, and not in the Nazi kind of way. My heart goes out to the people who fork over that kind of money. We love you guys. We could not have this show happen without that level of support. So God love you people. You are amazing.
Leroy, we'll see you, buddy. It was a good show tonight, man. I'll talk to you on Thursday. Thanks for everything tonight.
All right, man. We'll see you.
All right, buddy. Bye.
Peace out, homies.
Leroy, the good friend of the show, who always has a fantastic perspective. Mel, I want to say thank you. All the donations, amazing as well. We appreciate you guys. Let's go ahead and, as promised, we're going to go ahead and watch this Elon Musk. Don't worry, there's commercials. So I wanted to start it at 9:15 so we could forward through some of those, and that will put us probably right at 10 o'clock. So with no further ado, let's watch the Donald Trump and Elon Musk interview with Sean Hannity. I think we can all tolerate Sean for a little bit. Here it is. Enjoy. And remember, we're still about $50.81 away. So just FYI, here we go.
Capital, Washington, D.C. In just a moment, we're going to take you inside the White House for an exclusive interview with the President of the United States, Donald Trump, alongside the left's newest boogeyman, the leader of Doge, Elon Musk. In less than a month, both President Trump and Elon Musk, they have taken a wrecking ball to the deep state, all while exposing a shocking amount of waste, fraud, abuse, corruption at the federal level. But this is only the beginning. brick by brick, dollar by dollar, penny by penny. The American people.
You got to love Mel. The woman knows her shit. She has no problem with standing up for what she believes in. Very, very strong. She was a huge portion of the Baltimore vessel crash on the bridge. It was so important to that conversation. I was tired. We were running like 6.5-hour shows in the morning and afternoon, and she just did such a great job helping out. She's always a plus, so always fun.
Dollar by dollar, penny by penny. The American people are taking their country back from the grips of what is an out-of-control bureaucracy, and not a moment too soon. So without further ado, here's part one of my interview with President Trump and Elon Musk. I've got to start with this. So he's working for free with Doge. He's kind of put a lot of his life on hold. And you sued Twitter a number of years ago. You just made him pay you $10 million?
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
Well, I sued from long before he had it.
Yeah.
And I mean, they really did a number on me, you know. And I sued, and they had to pay. They paid $10 million settlement.
You're okay with that?
I mean, I left it up to the lawyers and you know the team running Twitter. So I said, you guys do what you think it makes sense.
I think it's fun.
I think it's a very low. I was looking to get much more money than that.
So you gave him a discount when the lawsuit.
He got he got a big discount. I don't think he even knows about it.
He's become one of your, if you read and believe the media, he's become one of your best friends. He's working for free for you.
Well, I love the president. I just want to be clear about that.
You don't care about that.
I know. I love the president.
You love the president.
I think President Trump is a good man, and he's, you know.
It's nice the way he said that. You know, there's something nice about it.
It really is. You know, because I mean, the president's been so unfairly attacked in the media. It's really outrageous. And I've at this point spent a lot of time.
Good to have you here, buddy.
With the president, and not once have I seen him do something that was mean or cruel or wrong.
Sorry, I'll show.
Not once.
You know, I've known him for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anybody take as much as he's taken.
Yeah.
And we've discussed this, and I'm like, how do you deal with it?
Did I have a choice?
Well, you would say that to me. I'm like, what am I going to do? Worry about it? And, you know, and then culminating in 2 assassination attempts, which resulted in your endorsement.
Well, I was going to do it anyway, but that was
it.
Precipitating event. Yeah.
That speeded it up a little bit.
Yeah.
The day of the assassination.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It sped it up, but I was going to do it anyway.
Mr. President, with your indulgence, I'm convinced that people only know a little bit about Elon. I don't think they know everything about Elon, because as I studied and prepared for this interview, I learned a lot about you that I didn't know. I think people will think about Tesla. Democrats are demonizing you and trying to make the country hate you. I just want people to understand you a little bit better, and the person that you've gotten to know and have now put a lot of trust in.
Sure.
And, you know, just let's go over a little bit of your bio, starting with PayPal and how you became involved in Tesla and SpaceX and Neuralink and all these.
Take a while. I mean, you know, I think the way to think of me is like I'm a technologist, and I try to make technologies that improve the world and make life better.
Your shirt.
Yeah, and that's why I like my T-shirt says tech support, because I'm here to provide the president with technology support. And now that may seem like, well, is that a silly thing? But actually, it's a very important thing, because the president will make these executive orders, which are very sensible and good for the country, but then they don't get implemented. You know, so. If you take, for example, all the funding for the migrant hotels, the president issued an executive order where, hey, we need to stop taking taxpayer money and paying for luxury hotels for illegal immigrants, which makes no sense. Like, so obviously, people do not want their tax dollars going to fund high-end hotels for illegals, and yet they were still doing that, even as late as last week. And so, you know, we went in there and we're like, this is in violation of the presidential executive order. It needs to stop. So what we're doing here is one of the biggest functions of the Doge team is just making sure that the presidential executive orders are actually carried out. And this is, I just want to point out, this is a very important thing, because the president is the elected representative of the people. So he's representing the will of the people. And if the bureaucracy is fighting the will of the people, and preventing the president from implementing what the people want, then what we live in is a bureaucracy and not a democracy.
No. You're both aware, you have to be keenly aware, that the media and the punditry class, not that, you know, I think you've proven they have no power anymore because they threw everything they had at you and they didn't win. And that was, you know, the New York Times, Washington Post, 3 networks, every late night comedy show, 2 cable channels. They just threw everything, lawfare, weaponization. And now I see they want you two to start, they want a divorce. They want you two to start hating each other. And they try, President Elon Musk, for example. You do know that they're doing that to you.
Oh, I see it all the time. They tried it, then they stopped. That wasn't. They have many different things of hatred. Actually, Elon called me. He said, you know, they're trying to drive us apart. I said, absolutely. No, they said, we have breaking news. Donald Trump has ceded control of the presidency to Elon Musk. President Musk will be attending a cabinet meeting tonight at 8 o'clock. And I say, it's just so obvious. They're so bad at it. I used to think they were good at it. They're actually bad at it, because if they were good at it, I'd never be president. Because I think nobody in history has ever gotten more bad publicity than me. I could do the greatest things. I get 98% bad publicity. I could do, outside of you and a few of your very good friends, it's like the craziest thing. But you know what I have learned, Elon? The people are smart. They get it.
Yeah, they do, actually.
They get it. They really see what's happening.
Yes.
And at the end of this interview, what I would like is I want people to know the relationship and know more about you. What is the relationship, Mr. President?
Well, I respect him. I've always respected him. I never knew that he was right on certain things, and I'm usually pretty good at this stuff. He did Starlink. He did things that were so advanced and nobody knew what the hell they were. I can tell you in North Carolina, they had no communication. They were wiped out. Those people were, you know, they had rivers in between. Land that never saw water, all of a sudden it was a river and a vicious, like rapids. People were dying all over. They had no communication. They said, do you know Elon Musk? They didn't really know I knew him. I said, yeah. He said, could you get Starlink? It's like the first time I ever heard of it. I said, what's Starlink? A communication system. That's unbelievable.
I have it.
Yeah. And he said, I called him and I said, listen, they really need it. And he got like thousands of units of this communication, and it saved a lot of lives. He got it immediately, and you can't get it. I mean, you have to wait a long time to get it. But he got it to him immediately, and I said, that's pretty amazing, and I didn't even know he had it. We watched the rocket ships, and we watched Tesla. I think, you know, something that had an effect on me was when I saw the rocket ship come back and get grabbed, like you grab a beautiful little baby. You grab your baby. It just
hug the rocket.
I've never seen.
Everything needs a hug, including rockets.
And he said, you know, you can't really have a rocket program if you're going to dump $1 billion into the ocean every time you fly. You have to save it. Right. And he saved it. First time that I've ever seen that done. Now, nobody else can do it. If you look at the U.S., Russia, or China.
Yeah, Elizabeth, he's got probably one of the most diverse cabinets when it comes to political affiliation. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, he's got former Democrats, Libertarians, hardcore Republicans. He's even got a few what people consider Democrats. So he's got a very diverse group of people.
The technology. So you learn. I wanted somebody really smart to work with me in terms of the country, a very important aspect. Because, I mean, he doesn't talk about it. He's actually a very good businessman. And when he talks about the executive orders, and this is probably true for all presidents, you write an executive order and you think it's done. You send it out. It doesn't get done. It doesn't get implemented. They don't implement it. Maybe they're from the last administration, and they are in some cases. You try and get them out as fast as you can. But I could, as soon as he said that, I said, you know, that's interesting. You write a beautiful executive and you sign it and you assume it's going to be done, but it's not. What he does is he takes it, and with his 100 geniuses, he's got some very brilliant young people working for him that dress Much worse than him, actually.
Yeah,
they dress
better.
in just T-shirts. You wouldn't know they have 180 IQ.
Wait a minute. So he's your tech support.
No, he is.
I actually
but
literally
he's
am
much
tech
more
support.
than that.
I
Yeah.
literally am tech support, though. But
But
that's
he gets it done. He's a leader.
Yeah.
He really is. He gets it done. You get a lot of tech people, and you have people that are good with tech, but he gets it done. You know, I said in real estate, you had guys that would draw beautiful renderings of a building, and they'd draw the rendering. It would be great, and you say, "Great, when are you starting?" But they were never able to get it built. They couldn't get the financing. They couldn't get the approvals. It would never get done. And then you have other guys that are able to get it done. You know, they could just get it done. I was in real estate. Same thing in this. He gets it done. So when he said that, he said, you know, when you sign these executive orders, a lot of them don't get done, and maybe the most important ones. And he would take that executive order that I'd sign, and he would have those people go to whatever agency it was. When are you doing it? Get it done, get it done. And some guy that maybe didn't want to do it, all of a sudden, he's signing. He just doesn't want to be bothered.
Do a lot of those executive orders have to be codified into law? You need the Republican.
Yeah, it's interesting. People are talking about Starlink, how they have it, and I've never looked into it. I was like, okay, Mom, I'm going to see if I'm going to get it. 220 megabytes a second. If I went with that, I couldn't even stream the show to one channel. So right now I have 1.5 gig, and my down is like 1,200. So 1.2 gigs a second, and my up is 1.5. Yeah, but I pay out the ass for that. So if Starlink was comparable, I'd be like, I'll do it. Yeah. Not yet.
A lot of them will be, yeah.
They will.
But look, in the meantime, we have 4 years. The beauty is we have 4 years. That's why I like doing it right at the beginning, because an executive order is great. I mean, the one problem is both good and bad, because when they did all these executive orders, I've canceled most of them. They were terrible. I mean, we're going to go radical left communists. Okay, it was crazy. Their executive orders were so bad. If they ever got them codified, you'd never be able to break them. So the damage that Biden has done to this country, and it's not even Biden, it's the people that circled him in the Oval Office, okay? But the damage they did to...
Kev says, an investment in future work out advice. Lots of laughs, $51.99. Thank you so much, Kev, for helping us hit our goal. We always like more. We're willing. We're going to be on for as long as this is on. You can stay with us and watch it for free of charge. We don't ask you to donate unless you can, and if you can, please do. If you can't, that's okay. Watch the show.
Office, okay? But the damage they did to this country, in terms of, let's say, open borders, you know, there's so many things, but open borders where millions of people poured into our country, and hundreds of thousands of those people are criminals. They're murderers, they're drug dealers, they're gang members, they're people from prisons from all over the world. And we have a great guy, Tom Homan, and he is doing so incredibly. You saw the numbers, they're down like 96%.
95%.
He is a phenomenal guy. And Kristi Noem is doing an unbelievable job. And he wanted her. He said, she's so tough. And I said, I don't think of her as that way. You know, she's very nice. He said, no, she's so tough. And she is. I see with the horses, she's riding the horse. Let's go. She's great. But the team we have is really unbelievable. But those executive orders, I sign them. And now they get passed on to him and his group and other people, and they're all getting done. We're getting them done.
Let me go back a little bit to your background, because it's beyond impressive. You were the chief engineer, for example. You were an early believer in Tesla. You became the CEO, and then the chief engineer, which was phenomenal. SpaceX, same thing, which is unbelievable. I mean, you were the first private company to send astronauts successfully into space, first private company to send astronauts into orbit.
Yeah.
That's pretty deep.
He's going to go into orbit soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, he's going to go to Mars. He's
Starlink
at some point.
Huh?
Yeah.
Is in over.
But they was asking, like, do you want to die on Mars? And I say, well, yes, but not on impact.
Starlink is in 100 countries. This is going to be hard. I feel like I'm interviewing two brothers here.
You go ahead.
Star Shield, which could be used for national defense.
Yeah, it is already being used for national defense.
Then you have what is it called? Optimus, a part of Tesla.
The robot, yeah.
A robotic arm. Then you have an AI arm. And then you have something that really fascinated me, and it's called Neuralink.
Yes.
You might help the blind to see, and people with spinal cord injuries, that they can recover, where in the past, How close is that to becoming a success?
Neuralink, we've implanted Neuralink in 3 patients so far who are quadriplegics, and it allows them to directly control their phone and computer just using their mind, just by thinking. It's like, so we call this product telepathy. So you control your computer and phone just by thinking, and it's possible to actually control the computer and phone faster than someone who has working hands. Then the next step would be to add a second Neuralink implant past the point where the neurons damaged, so that somebody can walk again, and so they can have full body functionality restored. And
you like Bobby, right?
I like Bobby, actually. Yeah, I think I supported Bobby Kennedy. I think he's unfairly maligned as someone who is anti-science. But I think he isn't. He just wants to question the science, which is the essence of the science. The scientific method fundamentally is about always questioning the science.
Well, they didn't tell us the truth about COVID.
Correct.
That's for sure.
Yes.
And we learned a lot with the Twitter files. And that just then raises a question. You're the richest man in the world. You may not like that part. You're pretty competitive.
It's neither here nor there.
I've known you a long time. But
that's why.
But he's on your team. Well, that's true. He can't top that.
He's good. You know, I wanted to find somebody smarter than him. I searched all over. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
You really tried hard.
I couldn't find anyone smarter, right? So we had it for the country.
But this is the thing.
We settled on this.
Well, thanks for having me.
So,
I'm just trying to be useful.
This is the interesting. This is where we are as a society, and I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to do it anyway. You're doing all of these things. Nobody at Doge gets paid a penny, correct?
Well, actually, some people are federal employees.
Some are, okay.
Yeah,
they're helping.
But I think it's fair to say that the software engineers at Doge could be earning millions of dollars a year, and instead of earning a small fraction of that as federal employees.
Okay, so
and they're very committed people.
So you're committed to helping the blind see, people with spinal cord injuries recover.
Yes.
You're committed to getting to Mars. You're committed to rescue. You're going to help rescue next month 2 astronauts that I think were abandoned. They dispute that in an interview.
At the president's request, or instruction, we are accelerating the return of the astronauts, which was postponed, kind of to a ridiculous degree.
They got left in space.
They've been there. They were supposed to be there 8 days. They're there almost 300.
Biden.
They were yes, they were left up there for political reasons, which is not good.
Okay, it's not good. Now, if I had the weight of the pressure of doing that successfully on my shoulders, I think I'd be, but when we spoke before we did this interview, you are very confident. You think this will be a successful mission.
Well, we don't want to be complacent, but we have brought astronauts back from the space station many times before, and always with success.
Mm-hmm.
So, as long as we're not complacent.
When are you going to launch?
I think it's about 4 weeks to bring them back.
About 4 weeks?
Yeah.
And
we're being extremely cautious. Yeah.
You now have the go-ahead.
Yes. Well, thanks to you.
They didn't have the go-ahead with Biden. He was going to leave him in space. I think he was going to leave.
Janet says, thank you, Matt, for staying overtime, $21.10. Please, don't you thank me? I love you guys. I love watching this stuff with you. I mean, I get to sit here and watch this, and you're throwing money at me. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Yeah, you make it so easy. Like, I get, real quick, just nice little break so we don't get copyright strike. I get asked all the time, what if they offered you $10 million? Would you do it? Yes, I would. I'm never going to get offered that. I believe that there's a $250,000 to $750,000 contract in my near future. I do. I believe that. I believe that we're getting big enough and we're good enough at this now where there's, on a national level, people would want to hear this. So maybe there's $1.5 million or something. Maybe. But I'd still do the donations. And it wouldn't go to me. I'd donate it. I'd just donate it. Like every time we hit $1,000, I would just like pay it forward somewhere, But I don't know. I because that to me is more important than a contract. Like the fact that people, I know how hard it is to make money, and I have worked my entire career, busted my ass to get where I am, and to have that is cool. To have that respect from people means the world to me, and I would never want to lose it. So I would continue to do it, and I'd probably just donate it, give it to vets, give it to Tammy's Diner to make sure she's okay and she has everything she needs, you know, give it to charity. But yeah, you guys make this job easy, and thank you for it for sure.
Leave him in space.
Well, it's like
to do this, Rachel says to do what? To do syndication, to get syndicated, to do a national show, to get on with iHeart or Odyssey or whatever and start doing a syndicated show. So, or simulcast, right? Do this show, but also do it on radio. And it's very similar to what a lot of people do, you know? So be on a station nationally and do them both. I mean, I would like to. I would love to do it. Anyway, let's watch this. You guys want to hear them. You don't want to hear me. You guys hear
In
enough
space.
of me.
Well, it's like
He
we
considered
were
it
growing
like-
up, lost in space.
Yeah, he didn't want the publicity. Can you believe it?
Unbelievable. And so I want to echo something that the president said and then ask an overarching question. So people get hit with Hurricane Helene. They have no communication with the outside world. You come to the rescue. You donated that, I believe?
Yes.
Okay. You donated to the people
He saved a lot of lives in North Carolina. He saved a lot of lives.
And California after the wildfires?
California, but I mean in North Carolina where they were really in trouble, they had no communication. People were dying. They were dying of starvation. He saved a lot of lives in North Carolina.
Okay, now you're going to rescue astronauts. And now, and again, you do all of this. I would think liberals would love the fact that you have the biggest electric vehicle company in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be adored by the left, you know.
Yeah, not anymore.
Less so these
He
days.
killed that, huh?
I mean, less.
I really didn't.
Well, I mean, this whole sort of like, you know, they call it like Trump derangement syndrome, and I didn't, you know, you don't realize how real this is until like you can't reason with people. So like I was at a friend's birthday party in LA, just a birthday dinner, and it was like a nice, quiet dinner, and everyone was behaving normally. And then I happened to mention, this is before the election, like a month or two before, I happened to mention the president's name. And it was like they got shot with a dart in the jugular that contained like methamphetamine and rabies. Okay, and like, wow! And I'm like, what is wrong, like, guys? Like, you just can't have like a normal conversation. Yeah. And it's like it's like they become completely irrational.
He has no idea. But if you're friends with him, you pay a price. You know, it's like I walk into a restaurant in New York and it's like half the room it's daggers and they want to.
No, the eye daggers level is insane.
Yeah.
Somebody banned Teresa W. Brock
some invitation because
on Facebook, please.
I got invited to like basically a big sort of dem event like that was, but it received the invitation like the beginning of last year, and I still attended even after I'd endorsed President Trump, and I didn't realize how profoundly that would affect how I was received. I mean, I walk into the...
It's an eagle. It's an eagle and a flag. So, and the flag goes all the way around. See, that's a better shot. Eagle and a flag. And then aircraft carrier is underneath. And then you can't see the other side. POWs, and then Hilo. FYI. Yeah, you guys don't get to see this tattoo very often. So that's why.
If looks could kill, I would have been dead several times over.
But that was not before Trump. BT.
Ashes on the floor.
Before Trump, that never happened, right?
No.
All right, more of my interview from the White House with President Trump and Elon Musk.
It's tough. Complete home training.
More street vernacular for a mailbox. So you have all of this going on.
Get 2 free deal on its best.
Welcome back to Hannity.
Folks, if you don't know, we are 100% funded by our viewers. We have hit our goal. We are overdriving by $72. We appreciate it. Just a quick commercial of our own, if you don't mind.
The Dumb Store is veteran-owned with a 5-star diamond rating for service and satisfaction. We offer quality products like coffee, shirts, hoodies, and hats, all made by veterans. Shop with confidence, backed by hundreds of 5-star reviews. Use code DUMB10 to save 10%.
Come here, sweetie.
Visit thedumbshow.com today. Thank you for your
Ash.
support.
Bye. Whatever, dog. See ya.
President Trump and Elon Musk. Take a look. This is the $1 million or $1 billion, I'm among billionaires, question. So you have all of this going on.
Oh my God, someone banned Teresa Brock.
In a way, you're still doing it.
I'll get her.
And you partner with him. And this is what you get for it from the Democrats. You get, nobody voted for Elon. Well, nobody voted for any of your cabinet nominees. Okay. People are dying because of Doge cuts. I'll give you a chance to respond to all that. What Doge is doing is illegal. Elon Musk is more street vernacular for a male body part. It's a constitutional crisis.
Okay. Why are they reacting like this?
Well, first of all, do you give a flying rip, or number one? And
well, I guess we must be over the target or doing something right. You know, if like they wouldn't be complaining so much if we weren't doing something useful, I think. But what all we're really trying to do here is restore the will of the people through the president. And what we're finding is that there's an unelected bureaucracy. Speaking of unelected, there's a vast federal bureaucracy that is implacably opposed to the president and the cabinet. And you look at, say, DC voting, it's 92% Kamala. Okay, so we're in 92% Kamala. That's a lot.
They don't like me here either.
I think about that number a lot. I'm like 92%. That's basically almost everyone.
Yeah.
And so, but how can you, if the will of the president is not implemented, and the president is
she's the bot.
Representative of the people, that means the will of the people is not being implemented. And that means we don't live in a democracy, we live in a bureaucracy. And so I think what we're seeing here is the sort of the thrashing of the bureaucracy as we try to restore democracy and the will of the people. Is this making sense? I mean...
No, of course it does. I mean, to me, if you look at our framers and our founders, and you really become a student of history, Mr. President. And
folks, do me a favor. We've got 250 some odd people on the network. We have a ton on Rumble right now. If you have not liked the show, please do so. We've got almost 5,000 views on the show. That's a lot for how many people we have on. We sure could use that like. So please do that over on Facebook. The counter behind me is constantly going up. We're growing. But yeah, only 148 likes. We should probably get that up a little bit. So if you haven't done it, just like the show. You don't spam the heart button, but you go out, you hit like, you come back in. Please do that for us. Thanks. It helps a great deal.
Student of history, Mr. President, and we've had conversations both on air and off air. And if we talk about constitutional order or transformational change, nobody can argue that what's happening here is it's going at the speed of light. But however, what were the principles of our framers and our founders? They wanted limited government, greater freedom for the people. And we'll get to the specific cutting of waste, fraud, and abuse. That is your goal, is it not?
Yeah, and my goal was to get great people. And when you look at what this man has done, I mean, it was something. I knew him a little bit through the White House. Originally, I'd see him around a little bit. I didn't know him before that. And I respected what he did. And he fought hard. You know, he was maybe questioned for a while. He was having some difficulties. It was not easy doing what he did. I mean, how many people have started a car company and made it really successful and made a better car where it's, you know, beating these big companies that's all they do is cars? I mean, it's really amazing the things that he's done. But I didn't know it as much then as now. I mean, the fruits have sort of
You don't annoy me, Mel.
But I wanted...
I will tell you I liked you a lot better when you were giving money and annoying me. But no, I'm teasing. We love you. We don't keep the money. You know that. We love that when you call in. You give a lot of info.
Taken hold. But I wanted great people. And he's a great person. He's an amazing person. He's also a caring person. You know, he uses the word care So they sign a contract in a government agency, and it has 3 months, and the guy leaves that signed the contract, and nobody else is there, and they pay the contract for 10 years.
Yeah.
So the guy is getting checks for years and years and years, and he's telling his family, obviously, maybe it was crooked, maybe he paid to get the contract, or maybe he paid that they didn't terminate it. But, you know, we have contracts that go forever, and they've been going for years. And they're supposed to end in 3 months or 5 months or 2 years or something, and they go forever. So the guy is either crooked, you know, where he knew this was going to happen, or he's crooked because he's getting payments that he knows he shouldn't be getting. But they're finding things like that. They're finding things far worse than that. And they're finding billions, and it will be hundreds of billions of dollars worth of fraud. I say waste and abuse, but fraud, waste, and abuse. And he's doing an amazing job. And he attracts a young, very smart type of person. I call them high IQ individuals, and they are. They're very high IQ and high IQ. And when they go in to see the people and talk to these people, you know, the people think they're going to pull it over. They don't. These guys are smart, and they love the country. You know, there's a certain something. But he uses the word care. So people have to care. Like, when I bought Air Force One, I negotiated the price. It was $5.7 billion, and I got them down to $1.7 billion. Now, they're not building the plane fast enough. I mean, they're actually in default. Boeing, they're supposed to have been building this thing forever. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
We don't build the way we used to build. You know, we used to build like a ship a day, and now to build a ship is like a big deal. And we're going to get this country back on track. We can do it, but so many things. It takes so long to get things built and get things done. And a lot of it could be something we've been discussing. The regulators go in and they make it impossible to build. They make it very difficult to build anything, whether it's a ship, a plane, or a building, or anything. And some of them do it because they want to show how important they are. Some of them do it maybe because they think they're right. They use the environment to stop progress and to stop things. It's always the environment. It's an environmental problem. It's not an environmental problem at all. But they do a lot of things. And by the way, speaking of that, Lee Zeldin is going to be fantastic in the position. It's so important. He could take 10 years to approve or disapprove something, or he could do it in a month. You know, just as good.
Sure.
And I think you're going to see a fantastic job done by him. He's a tremendous guy.
Newt, you echoed something when I just met you, and it was very similar to what Newt has been saying, that he brought this country to the dance. This is the opportunity to be transformational and to have, I would argue, the most consequential presidency if we really dig down and do something that had never been done before. And that is get rid of this bureaucracy. And I'm going to get to the specifics. You say the same thing. It's not done yet. And what do you mean by that?
I mean, winning the election is really the opportunity to fix the system. It is not fixing the system itself. So it's an opportunity to fix the system and to restore the power of democracy. And, you know, people, like, it's funny how often when these attacks occur, the thing that they're accusing the administration of is what they are guilty of. They're saying that things are being done unconstitutional, but what they are doing is unconstitutional. They are guilty of the crime of which they accuse us.
That's always the first thing they do. He's in violation of the Constitution. They don't even know what they're talking. Well,
It's
they
absurd.
know. It's just a con job. It's a big con job. And they're so bad for the country, so dangerous and so bad. And the media is so bad. When I watch MSNBC, which I don't watch much, but you have to watch the enemy on occasion, the level of arrogance and cheating, and they're just horrible people. These are horrible people.
They tell conspiracy
liars,
theories.
and they start up with the Constitution. They couldn't care less about the Constitution. CNN, likewise. I mean, I watch them asking questions with, you know, the hatred with the. I said, "Why are you asking the question with such anger? You're asking me a normal question, but you see the bias. The bias is so incredible. Those two are bad. PBS is bad. AP is bad. CBS is terrible. I mean, CBS now, they changed an answer in KAMALA. They asked her some questions. She answered them like, you know, a low IQ person, the opposite of him, the absolute opposite. But she gave a horrible answer. They took the entire answer out and they put another answer that she gave 20 minutes later into the as the
Part of her
answer.
word
I've
salad.
never even heard of that. I thought I heard of it all.
I'm going to, just for the sake of saving time,
Yeah.
because I could spend, and I've done this on radio and TV, I can spend an hour finding the outrageous amounts of money being spent abroad like USAID, and I just want to mention a couple, but I'm going to scroll it. And
I guess at a high level, I think it's what the president mentioned earlier, which is that in order to save taxpayer money, it comes down to two things: competence and caring. And when the president was shown the outrageous bill for the new Air Force One, and then negotiated it down, if the president had not applied competence and caring, the price would have been 50% higher, literally 50% higher. The president cared, the president was competent, the price was not 50% higher as a result. And so when you add more competence and caring, you get a better deal for the American people.
But we were talking about this yesterday. I could give me thousands of bills. I could pick any one of them.
Yes, exactly.
Mel, I have no idea. She goes, just an observation. There used to be a pop-up showing how long someone was a Dumb Nation viewer. Where did it go? I have no idea. I didn't even know that existed. So you're educating me on something. I don't know.
Say it's a bill for $5,000, just $5,000, and it's done by some bureaucrat. And if he would say, I'll give you $3, I don't want to pay you $5, it's too high, I'll give you $3. But they don't do that. If a guy sends in a bill for $5,000, they pay $5,000. They expect to be cut. Everybody expects to be cut. When you send in a bill, you expect to be cut. They send in the bill higher for the most part. This is true with lawyers, legal fees. When they send in legal fees, I can cut. I wish I had the time. I would save so, but I could cut these bills in half, much better than half. But you offer people a much lower number because you know they actually put fat. I'm not even saying it's like a way of business. They put more on because they expect to be negotiated. When you send in a bill to the government, there's nobody to negotiate.
Yes.
You send in a bill for $10,000 and they send you a check back for $10,000. If you would call them and said, we'll give you $5. No, I need more than $5. We'll give you $5. I'm not going to pay any more than $5. Make it $6. No, I'm not going to make it $6. And you'll settle for $5,500. You've just cut the bill almost in half, and it took like 2 minutes. But none of that's done.
Don't we call that the art of the deal?
But that's caring. No, it's not even the art of the deal. It's caring. He uses the word. It's caring.
Yeah.
It's a certain competence, but I think it's more caring than competence.
If you add either ingredient, either competence or caring, you'll get a better outcome. But it stands to reason that if you don't have competence, you don't have caring, you're going to get a terrible deal. And the problem is that the American taxpayers have been getting a terrible deal because look at the last administration. Can any reasonable person say that the last administration was either competent or caring?
But they lied to us and said that Joe didn't have a cognitive decline.
They fully lied.
They said the borders were closed. They said that the borders were secure. They said that, they said Obamacare would save.
They flat out lied.
It flat out lied.
Insane.
Up next, more of my exclusive interview with President Trump and Elon Musk as Hannity continues from the Trump White House. Political causes.
It's a better way.
Join WimKen.com, the social media platform built for free speech and true connection. No censorship, no algorithms controlling your feed, just genuine conversations and a commitment to protecting your rights. Sign up today at WimKen.com and take back your voice. Tell them Matt and the Dumb Show sent you.
Political causes, Green New Dealism, transgenderism, and, even anti-American propaganda. Those days are now over. More of my interview with President Trump and Elon Musk. As I scroll this information, and I'll scroll a lot more than I'll mention to both of you, and this is the cost savings. I want people at home to understand this part. Average American makes $66,000 a year.
Yeah.
Okay? We have $37 trillion in national debt.
Yes.
Now, all the money I'm about to mention and what we're going to scroll on our screen, and all of this is going to foreign countries. It is not being spent here in America for better schools, law and order.
I think the average tax-paying American should be mad as hell because their tax money is being poorly spent.
All right, let me go to the second question first. I want to know, because people like Joni Ernst and
Joni Ernst has been
has
tried for a long time, and she's actually got a lot of good data. Senator Ernst has been really helpful, actually.
Okay, but they actually hide what the real purpose of the spending is. In other words, this is a question. How did you decipher? It will say humanitarian blah, blah, blah in Serbia or Afghanistan. We even give money to China, for crying out loud, which I think is nuts.
Charity, I notice it. I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm at Disneyland and I'm like the park event coordinator watching all the rides, you know? So what's funny is like, you know, I think I was asked that question by someone at breakfast. And they said, how do you feel like being in charge of, you know, a pretty big network of people and posting something and having millions of people see it? I mean, how does that feel? And great, I guess, but honestly, it's taken on a life of its own. And the chat and the show and the people, I try to keep the peace. I feel like I'm a sheriff. Like, people get in conflicts and I'll have, all right, Amy, what's going on? Amy will tell me, because Amy is supposed to. That's her job. And Amy will let me know there's some conflicts here and there. And then the most of the time, and it's not like Amy narcs, she just says, you know, you might want to talk to this person. Most of the time I just ignore it and I let it happen. But there's times where I have to get involved and two people are fighting. I'm like, dude, why are you guys fighting? I love you guys. So I feel like a sheriff sometimes, or like a referee. So I notice the chat's alive, and I notice how many people really love what we do here. And it's easy. Like I said, I feel like I'm an event coordinator at Disney. It's just kind of like I let it run. And if something breaks down, I fix it. But the show runs itself, and it's easy. Matt, I believe you could interview President Trump and Elon better than Hannity. I think I can. With all due respect, you're talking to somebody with emotional IQ, with Donald Trump, President Trump, with, emotional EQ. I think Donald Trump is very good at controlling his emotions. He's excellent at it, especially all the abuse he's taken. And Elon Musk is a high emotionally or intellectually, obviously intelligent human being. Here I am going to try to sell you that I would do well, and I can't even put the words together because I'm a little tired. But I think I would do well in an interview with both of them. I don't think Sean Hannity has those qualities at all. I think Sean's a great guy. I think Sean is, more of a sports guy than an intellectual. That's all. I like Sean when he's on his radio show and he doesn't have writers working for him. I like when Sean's being Sean. That's when he's at his best, and he's kind and he's smart and he's thoughtful. I don't like the Sean on Fox. He's a bully. He interrupts people. He doesn't listen. I don't like that. So anyway, that's it.
Crying out loud, which I think is nuts.
Well, give money to the Taliban.
But money to the Taliban?
Like a lot.
All right, so
I'm like, for what?
But
I want to see the pictures of what they did.
But they try to obscure it, but then you got to the bottom line, which is what I'm now scrolling on the screen, and that is $20 million on a Sesame Street show in Iraq, $56 million to boost tourism in Tunisia and Egypt, $40 million to build schools in Jordan, $11 million to tell the Vietnamese to stop burning trash, $45 million for DEI scholarships in Burma, $520 million for consultant-driven ESG investments in Africa, DEI programs in Serbia. The president's favorite. I'm sure you love that taxpayer money was spent on a DEI musical in Ireland, or a transgender opera in Colombia, or a transgender comic book in Peru.
It sounds like how can these things be real? But this is actually what was done. It sounds like a comedy sketch or something.
I have 20 pages of this.
Right. It's not. It's a list a mile long.
If you had to put a number on it, how much do you think you've identified waste, fraud, abuse, corruption at this point? And again, we're going to be scrolling this throughout the program.
Well, the overall goal is to try to get $1 trillion out of the deficit. And if the deficit is not brought under control, America will go bankrupt. This is a very important thing for people to understand. A country is no different from an individual.
Been saying this a long fucking time.
An individual can go bankrupt, and so can a country. And the massive waste, fraud, and abuse that has been going on, which is leading to a $2 trillion a year deficit. That's what the president was handed on Jan 20th, a $2 trillion deficit. It's insane.
For this fiscal year.
Yeah, we inherited.
Yeah.
And inflation is back. I'm only here for 2.5 weeks.
That was January.
Inflation
You were there
is
for a
back.
week.
No, think of it. Inflation's back, and they said, "Oh, Trump inflation." I had nothing to do with it. These people have run the country. They spent money like nobody's ever spent. They were given $9 trillion to throw out the window. $9 trillion, and they spent it on the Green New scam. I call it. It's the greatest scam in the history of the country. One of them. We have a lot of them, I guess, but one of them. Dollar-wise,
and
probably.
DEI and wokeism and transgenderism.
Well, that's all part of it. Yeah.
And LGBTQ+.
Yes.
By the way, not in America, other countries, not here.
You know, the amazing thing is when you see like
Sean, like, nah, I'm gonna shut up. Just let's listen.
You see, like the teaching of DEI, $9 million. How do you spend $9 million to teach? No matter what it is, you could teach physics.
Totally.
You could go to MIT for
It's
a lot less.
expensive.
Yeah,
Expensive.
the teaching of
Expensive
DEI.
BS.
How much do you believe, Elon, you've identified in waste, fraud, abuse, corruption now, and how much do you anticipate you will?
Sure. Well, I think
1%. No, because
Wait till
it's
you
so
get-
massive.
Wait till you get to the Pentagon.
Huge
Exactly.
money.
So what we found now is 1%.
we're just gotten
As
started.
good as they are, they're not going to find some contract that was crooked, crooked as hell. And, I mean, there's going to be so much that isn't found. But what is found, I think he's going to find $1 trillion.
Yeah, I think so.
But I think it's a very small percentage compared to what it is.
Let me go to an area that I think is key, and you talked about this in recent interviews, and that is we don't need a Department of Education. Okay. And what some people are trying to do is stoke fears that, oh my gosh, my kid's not going to get the money for education, or grandma's Social Security and Medicare. This was a big promise of yours on the campaign trail. So I really want to give you both an opportunity to assure the American people you will keep, that money will be allocated for students, but with higher standards. For example, I would assume associated with monies given or
Just
vouchers.
so much, and then Elon goes, but look, Social Security won't be touched, other than if there's fraud or something, we're going to find it's going to be strengthened, but won't be touched. Medicare, Medicaid, none of that stuff is going to be touched.
Nothing.
You don't have to. Now, if there are illegal migrants in the system, we're going to get them out of the system and all of that fraud, but it's not going to be touched. School. I want to bring school back to the states so that Iowa, Indiana, all these places, Idaho, New Hampshire, there's so many places, the states, I figure 35 really run well. And right now it's Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, China. China, can you imagine, has top schools. We're last. So they have a list of 40 countries. We're number.
Folks, we had a goal of 300 and we hit it, and then we went to overtime to show. And I didn't try to blackmail people. I was going to do it anyway, but I wanted to give an extra hour tonight because I wanted to watch this, and I know you did too. So it was convenient to say we're going to extend our goal. So I want to say thank you for everybody. However, if you're watching the show and you're like, listen, we don't get Fox, and we love watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. It's the first time watching. We like the stream. Thank you. The least thing that we ask is like the stream, follow it, and come back and see us 7 o'clock weeknights. We're here every weeknight, 7 o'clock. Myself, Amy, Leroy, Olivia, and special guests. And second is that if you have liked it and you're like, you know what, I like buying T-shirts, I like buying coffee or hoodies or blankets or whatever, we've got some great stuff over at the Don't Unfriend Me show at thedumbshow.com. And you can actually go and donate, help the show. We are 100% funded by you outside of Wimkin, who also provides a little bit for us because we are big fans. We own stock in the company. We love Wimkin. Go over to wimkin.com and sign up. 9 million people. It is a social media site that has all of them. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. It's all rolled into one. Go take a look and see what you can think. Obviously, it's a lot because it's all free thinking, and it's 100% not censored ever. Jason was willing to go to jail and not to give up information on people who they wanted his entire user list for the J6 committee, and Jason said no. It got him into a lot of trouble because he protected his followers. So go over to wimkin.com, go over to thedumbshow.com. Maybe you can help us out with the show, and we would appreciate it.
The Dumb Store is veteran-owned with a 5-star diamond rating for service and satisfaction. We offer quality products like coffee, shirts, hoodies, and hats, all made by veterans. Shop with confidence, backed by hundreds of 5-star reviews. Use code DUMB10 to save 10%. Visit thedumbshow.com today. Thank you for your support.
On the economy, foreign policy, and crime. But what about democracy? The thing hyperventilating Democrats keep saying is going to destroy.
What? It did not just skip the rest of it. Hold on. I can't believe it did that. It fast forwarded on me, some bitch. Hold on, I've got my ways. Hold on. Never fear.
He's going to go into orbit.
I should know to record it. I always record it. I don't know why I didn't record it.
Up
That's
for
okay.
a
I got
very
you.
special show. After 4 long years, President Donald
Lost their fortunes. They've lost their whatever, their nest egg, paying it to lawyers. And those people,
General Milley,
she strongly denied it.
she said that they need to stop
because
the farm is in need.
that's the
Okay,
old one.
fair enough. We do that. We got to help the
Hold on, I'm gonna try to find it.
people in North Carolina. They've been suffering.
Well, you know,
We agree.
that's what I want to do. That's why I'm stopping there first.
You're going to stop in California.
I'm stopping in North
Should the
Carolina
money be
first.
continued?
Come on, somebody repost it.
Oh, she's great. But the team we have is really unbelievable. I wanted to find somebody. When are you going to launch?
Okay, so that's part 1. Can we see part 2? Part 1. Well, dude, if you put up part 1, you should probably put up part 2, yo. Part 1. Minute 34. Minute 33. Minute 34. Come on! This sucks. I should have recorded it. I feel horrible. I know, it's my bedtime too. We might have to play the rest tomorrow. Oh, I feel bad. You know what? It's late anyway. You guys, how about we do this? How about I get the rest for you tomorrow, because it's not on the interwebs right now yet. Let me try one more thing with Fox. I don't understand why it fast forward. It never does that. In fact, I've never seen it do that ever. Let's see.
The callback.
All right, unfortunately, that's all the time we have left this evening. A big thank you to President Trump, Elon Musk, for sitting down, answering questions. And as always, thank you for being with us. Thank you for...
Damn it, Donald Trump. It's his fault. Here's what we're going to do. See how everyone's feeling. All right. So this is, here's what we'll do. Is I am going to get the restaurant. There was only like 20 minutes left, if that. And I feel horrible that we missed that part. That just sucks. I always record it. I know better. I know better. But for some reason, it skipped and it stopped recording. So I'm going to play the rest tomorrow. It's 20 minutes. We'll do it. And it's 10 o'clock anyway. It's time to go to bed. Oh, God, it's 10:08, so I'm way past. How about we do this? How about I say thank you? I say good night. We'll cover the rest. I appreciate you guys so much for helping us out. Yep, I'm tired. I've been getting up with the dog at 06, and I'm a little tired. Been hitting the weights really hard, so I'm tired. We'll see you guys tomorrow. I want to say thank you for everything you do for us. We can't thank you enough. We appreciate you more than you know. Please continue to watch the Don't Unfriend Me show. Also, somebody just purchased the Dumb Nation blanket. Joanne, you're going to love it. It is a great personal blanket. It's the Sherpa. It is super warm, super soft, and animals love it. My cats love mine. But just wanted to say thank you guys for everything you do. You guys make this job really easy. 225,468. We're crushing on Facebook again. It'd be nice if they reinstated our earnings. But either way, we thank you so much for everything you do. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 o'clock, same time, same bat channel. Olivia, Amy, and I will all be on. We can't wait to see you. And we hope you put in a good word for us. Good night, everybody. God bless. And we will talk tomorrow. Bye.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.